what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Hey, Chopper. Welcome, bud. Find you just a minute.
To myself.
Sheriff's vehicle. Jeff Lawless. Imagine that. He's the sheriff, and they are lawless here. They are definitely lawless here. Jeff Lawless, Lawrence County Sheriff. Did you notice what the sheriff's name is?
Yeah, Lawless.
So what, is this the jail?
Yep.
Yep, Lawrence County Jail. It's open.
That garage door was open when we got here and they closed it when we walked up.
Which one?
Right there.
Oh, was it?
I heard them closing it.
Oh, yeah, they know we're here. They know we're coming.
Hey, Tapatios. Welcome. I think this is when they went down to Southern Ohio, Ironton. I think this is Ironton.
Can't see nothing in there.
ASOS.
Nothing.
Nope.
They've got it totally blacked out. Cameras everywhere.
Some cameras.
Yeah.
What forms they have here. Background check.
Look at that guy. He looks like he's seen a few up close anyway.
No FOIA request forms or complaint forms.
Well, of course not.
I don't doubt it.
Go over here and check out their vans. Oh, there's a curb there. Oh, looky what we got here. We got him an inmate.
A few of them. Fresh from court.
Fresh from court. 3 of them. Nice.
4.
Oh, wow. They got them jammed in there, don't they?
Shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
How's it going?
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Busy today? Not too bad?
You mean shenanigans?
That's a spiffy uniform you got there. It is.
Oh, you got pretty warm in the summer.
Talking about shenanigans.
I bet. That's when they put the t-shirt on.
Right.
Okay, you guys back up away from him with me. You guys step back a little bit for me.
Now, Rodney, we're under a lot of pressure here. Remember what we talked about? If anything happens, count to 10. Take some deep breaths.
10 deep breaths.
How far back?
You gotta step back.
How far back?
You gotta step back.
How far back?
You gotta step back.
How far?
Step back.
You can't just tell me to keep stepping back. I asked you how far.
Step back.
How far?
Step back.
You know, you know that it's within 10 feet, right?
Public sidewalk.
Yeah, public sidewalks. It doesn't even really matter, does it? Yeah. Quit barking at orders at me like I'm your damn waitress.
He's a jail guy.
Yeah, he's an overpaid babysitter. He's not even a road cop. Barking orders at me like I'm your damn waitress. He's a major pain in the ass.
Step back. Step away from me. Step over there. Step over there, sir.
I'm on a sidewalk. Don't tell me what to do.
Step away.
I'm on a public sidewalk. Don't tell me what to
Step
do.
away.
We're
No,
farther away now
Step
than we were
away.
before.
Step away. Step away.
I'm standing right here where I'm at, dude.
Step away.
You can shut up with your orders, dude.
Oh, shit.
Fat piece of shit. Major pain in the ass is what we'll call him. Overpaid babysitter. I hope one of them inmates in there rocked you in the head. Careful now. Don't let them inmates split your head to the pink part in there. Major pain in the ass. Fat piece of shit.
Thought you weren't gonna swear.
Sorry. I didn't say the F word. I just said shit. I just said shit. I did not say the F word.
Well, they didn't try to violate us, so they're trying to tell us to step back, step back, step back.
Yeah, don't keep telling me to step back, step back. Dude, I'm on a damn sidewalk. Maybe you should take your inmates in somewhere else instead of telling me where I can and can't be. I can be on a sidewalk if I freaking want to.
Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying warm. What's going on? The WEF is going on right now. Interesting stuff. I saw Javier showed up. absolutely destroyed everybody. You love to see it. How's everyone doing today? How's everyone doing? I wanted to see how you all are. One sec here. All right. Yeah, it looks like there's some some frames dropping. I don't know if it's me or not. Sorry. I was seeing I was dropping frames, so that was distracting. If I do this, we can also I can go, let's just try lowering the bitrate just a little bit. First time watching a live streaming, welcome Beethoven. Make sure you follow the channel. Hope you're doing good. I think Rumble was having some issues because like my my locals chat, I think my locals chat wasn't working when I tried to type in there. So there's something going on with Rumble, I think. Not on my end. Yeah, Grabble says Rumble's just shit today. Yeah. Yeah, Bongino is always fine, but I think it's because he's the only guy that's really on that early in the day. I was thinking about that. I was thinking pretty sure that Dan doesn't have latency issues. Hmm. Okay. Hope you're doing well. Let's get right into it.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, we've got some interesting variety of stuff today. I wanted to talk first about Jordan Peterson losing his appeal to be re-educated. Apparently, he had to, I think this goes back almost 2 years at this point. Like almost 2 years at this point, where some weirdos got really mad at Dan Bongino for, I'm sorry, not at Dan Bongino, at Jordan Peterson for tweeting things. Essentially, then the governing body of all psychiatrists, hold on a second. Let me see what's going on with the lag. Let me ask Rumble. Okay, let's see. Let me see what's going on. Let me see. Let me see if I can find out. If I can find out. It's nice having tech support on, you know, on demand. Okay, let's see. All right, and we're good. We'll just power through. Power through. As usual, it's growing pains. It happens. So essentially he put out a couple of tweets making fun of, being critical of Canadian leaders. His bosses said, in order to stay credentialed, you have to go to a literal re-education camp. Like literal re-education camp. And, you know, just what, for calling Justin Trudeau a puppet? These are the things that people reported that led to this. He called Trudeau a puppet. He spoke out against COVID mandates. He made fun of a plus-sized swimsuit model. I mean, I think she looks just fine, you know, but whatever. He was more so speaking out against like this, you know, healthy at all sizes crap, you know. Made fun of Elliot Page, which I agree with. Okay. All this kind of stuff that he really nothing he said. By the way, the important takeaway here is, yeah, the CEO texted me back immediately. He's like, checking it out. The point is, these were tweets that Dr. Jordan Peterson made on his own time, on his own platform. His bosses then said, well, we're going to take away your certification if you don't take this mandatory social media, remedial social media training or whatever it is. And he, of course, said no. He filed court papers to try and get it overturned. And as of this morning, he has lost. It will be forcing him into a re-education camp so that he can continue to stay credentialed. Now, does Jordan Peterson need his credentials anymore? I doubt it. I mean, I don't think he is making any, you know, he's not taking any patients, I don't think. I think he also makes plenty of money from the Daily Wire. His speaking engagements, he could poop out a book in about a week and make $10 million on that. So I don't really think he cares about it, but he cares about the principle of it, which is why he fought, which I respect, of course. Plus, it's an opportunity to kind of expose / reveal, you know, everything that's going on. And so the court said, tough cookies, you got to go through this camp, re-education camp. So hopefully we'll get some video footage from that. I suspect we won't. I don't know. Because I gotta imagine that there's an NDA around that. So I don't know if we're actually gonna get to see it, or if he'll like break the NDA and, you know, all that kind of stuff to try and reveal what they train him on. I suspect that this actual like social media training doesn't even exist. Okay, I'm gonna tell them you said it looks good now. Okay. It's kind of nice to be able to get at the CEO of the company you work for. It seems like local still is, I don't know, is the locals chat not working? I don't see a lot of chat activity in there. So yeah, I don't think he really cares about this. I think it's a good opportunity to make money and to educate people and kind of inform people about everything that's going on. I think that's good. But I think this is obviously a huge hit to free speech. You're talking about, yes, it's in Canada, but I mean, everything that's happening in Canada is happening in the United States. You know, it's not exactly, you know, something that's that far. I remember when like Count Dankula, you know, the Nazi dog guy. I remember when he was going to court over teaching his dog a joke trick. And I remember thinking, oh, it's all over in the UK, man. The UK is kind of fricked up. And then suddenly it was happening in Canada. And then suddenly it was happening here. So I think these stories, while I think a lot of people are like, hey, this doesn't really apply to me right now. I think that that's a dangerous position to have. Like if you have a different, if you don't think this is important, I'm not saying anybody in my chat saying that, but I mean, it's nuts. Now, there are a lot of things I disagree with Jordan Peterson on, like the removal of online anonymity and, some of the other wackadoodle things he's said. But, by and large, I agree with him on most things. This out of the WEF right now.
That order seems to not be the order anymore. We are
This
on
is
the
the
way to a new order,
WEF
so we
president.
are between orders. Do you agree with that, or are there ways of what are we able to keep on the positive side from the old order to bring into a new world order, and how can we avoid that new world order becomes like a jungle growing back, and we rather have an order based on international law and the principles that have brought us prosperity and freedom for decades?
I guess, and maybe this is the old kind of teacher in me coming out. I think of this a little bit more about a transition of eras rather than a transition of orders, but the two are kind of cousins of one another. The reason I draw the distinction is because I don't think the international order built after 1945 is getting replaced wholesale with some new order.
You can almost tell they're like trying to be careful to not say New World Order. You know what I mean? They really, Grabble. I noticed that too. Like they're like, oh, we really don't want to say New World Order, so we're just going to say New Order, and the normies will never know. Here, the EU president demands globalist control over all information. Thought maybe this would actually be good for the video. Should I do a standalone video on this? It's a little hard. It's a little hard politics. But I'm thinking I might just do a standalone video on this. What do you think? Let me look this up. Okay. Get it to the original. Let's see. Smart cities. All about control too, by the way. I know this isn't typically a topic I might cover on my main channel. It's a little out there, a little more political, but I thought it was pretty interesting, as obviously today, right now, we have the World Economic Forum going on, and it's basically, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically like if all the demons that walk the earth were to host a party where they talk about how to best control bags. That's kind of how I view it. It's essentially the most evil people on the planet getting together and talking about how to screw us all over, essentially. And there's some interesting topics going on right now, including the president of the European Union demanding globalist control over all information. Also, them talking about a literal New World Order and things of that nature. All the stuff that they banned Alex for, that they said, Alex Jones was crazy for. These people are saying it out loud. Here's just a little clip. Oh, the Davos Bilderberg members want to create a new world order. Where have I heard that before? I mean, you can see they're like actually they're trying really hard. They're trying really hard to not say New World Order, but they make a mistake.
That order seems to not be the order anymore. We are on the way to a new order, so we are between orders.
they're saying New World Order, Old World Order, World Order.
Do you agree with that, or are there ways of what are we able to keep on the positive side from the old order to bring into a new world order? And hope.
Oops, he said it. Oops, he said it. You could tell he was like, I don't want to say it. I can't. Don't say it. Everybody's familiar with that is now. They also, these are the people that want you to eat the bugs, live in a pod, you'll own nothing, and be happy. That's who these people are, right? Here's another thing. I mean, this is the people that are in that room. They think they think you're stupid. Oh, we're going to say new order instead of new world order, and you'll just let it slide. The president of the European Commission addressed elites at the World Economic Forum in Davos Tuesday, calling for an overarching globalist control over all information in the digital age. All information. The top concern for the next few years is not conflict or climate. It's disinformation and misinformation, he said. The boundary between online and offline is getting thinner and thinner. And this is even more important in the era of generative AI. Excellently addressing the elite as excellencies and personally naming Dear Klaus Schwab in her introduction, she called for the development of a new global framework for AI risks and a vow to drive global collaboration to prevent the spread of misinformation, parentheses, information they don't want you to know about. When did Zero Hedge get based? When people say misinformation, it's generally referring to information that they don't like or information that's inconvenient. There is real misinformation, obviously. There are people selling like panaceas, cure-alls, right? You see people offering cures to tinnitus all the time. If you don't know what tinnitus is, many of us who played in bands when we were young know what it is. It's a constant ringing in your ear from, damaging your eardrum. There is no cure to it, but it is maddening. It is just a terrible thing. But there's always some new idiot that's like saying, oh, just buy my salve and it'll fix your tinnitus. Or this is how, there's no cure. So people, that's what that is genuine misinformation. Or people that were AIDS denialists, stuff like that. The Foo Fighters at one point actually endorsed an AIDS denialism video. Did you know that? I believe their lead singer did renounce it later, but I digress. There was this whole belief at one point that AIDS wasn't killing people. It was the prescriptions they gave you that killed you. And the weird thing is all of the people that were part of that movement died from AIDS. So, there's that. So there's there's actual misinformation that I believe does need, I think the community notes system at its core on Twitter is a good way to deal with it. Does it get weaponized? Yes, which I don't like. But when we hear people at the World Economic Forum, when we hear people like Rachel Madcow, when we hear people like Brian Stelter, 35 going on 65, talk about misinformation, they're talking about questioning the message. They're talking about, you have Anthony Fauci referring to himself as the science. Do you remember T. Fiac in school? Title, hypothesis, problem, whatever, hypothesis is a part of the scientific method. But for 4 years, we weren't even allowed to have hypotheses about, where this coof came from, or have any hypotheses about what they were telling everyone to inject into their arm. And they called that misinformation. If you said you had any kind of side effects from it, they called that misinformation. Facebook banned it. Facebook wouldn't even let you and still doesn't let you talk about it. That is their form of misinformation. And, that's what they want total globalist control over. Furthermore, she said 2024 is the biggest electoral year in history and expressed concern that freedom comes with risks. There will always be those who try to exploit our openness, both from inside and out. There will always be attempts to put us off track. Where does that track lead, by the way? To eating bugs while they eat steak? I got a feeling that all these attendees at the World Economic Forum, even though they've booked out, they're literally, I read an article yesterday, I don't know if it was satire or not, I doubt it, where they were like literally out of prostitutes in that area. There will always be attempts to put us off track, for example, with disinformation and misinformation. She touted the EU's Digital Services Act, which under the guise of, quote, preventing hate speech, which again is not a real thing, establishes control over all information on all social media platforms. This is what they're talking about at the World Economic Forum. Right? She concluded that there is no doubt that we face the greatest risk to the global order in the post-war era. But in my mind, there is also no doubt that we can move forward with optimism and resolve. Why aren't these people just, you know, if these meetings were happening 50 years ago, they would all be wearing red robes. Don't you think? There could be no doubt the number one target of these unelected technocrats is Elon Musk and X, given that they already have every other major platform in their pockets. Disagree. Rumble remains free. Here's Harvard's Naomi Oreskes, who don't care. If a hypothetical meteor, you know, hypothetically landed in Davos, you know, at these buildings, I think hypothetically the world would be a better place.
For a long time, I was on Twitter, and now it's become such a toxic place that I've concluded it's not a worthwhile place to spend time. And as you said, it is exhausting. So you do have to.
This is basically them saying we have to go after Elon Musk. We can't control it. You know, Twitter has always been toxic. Twitter has always been toxic. But now that our little pocket boy, Jack Dorsey, doesn't own it anymore, now it's toxic and we need to stop spending time there. At last year's WEF collab, Vera Don't Care, who holds the incredibly Orwellian title of the European Commission's Vice President for Values and Transparency, commented that Musk's freedom of speech absolutism does not jive with the new EU online regulations. Our message was clear. We have rules and they must be complied with. Otherwise, there will be sanctions. She declared, adding that the time of the Wild West is over, and further having the gall to declare, we are the protectors of freedom of speech as well. I chose to make this a standalone video for my YouTube channel because I wouldn't consider myself, you know, knee deep in all this kind of stuff like maybe Alex is. The things that these people say at these meetings are real. These are the world's leaders getting together, and this is what they're talking about. They are not talking about helping you. They are talking about controlling you. I hope you were informed in this video, and if you enjoyed it, I hope you've left a like on it at some point. We'll talk to you again real soon. Think that'll go okay on YouTube? Do we think YouTube's going to allow that? I feel like probably not. I suppose we'll see. I mean, nothing I said was a hypothesis. It was all just, these are real things being said at the World Economic Forum. It's the meteor comment, maybe. I think the world would be a better place if all these people were dead. I said it, and I stand on it. I think it would be. I think these people are sick. I think they're demonic. I think that they don't have your freedoms at mind. I don't think that they care about you. I think they are about consolidating power and controlling plebs. You know, fuck them. Anybody who attends, you know, anyone who's associated with those people, fuck them. They're psychopaths. Let's do some public talk. Oh, camera change. Doobie doobie doo. Prison for memes? Well, that looks like the future that some countries want. And quite frankly, most interestingly, this is being brought up again at the same time as the global weirdos are all meeting in Davos. I'm sure they're not talking about this, though. This story actually comes out of Ireland, but it's important to point out that similar legislation is on the pages, on the books, almost everywhere. Undoubtedly here in the United States as well. When we allowed, I guess unwillingly, for the creation of the term hate speech to be normalized, the government took that.
Pretty much all evil.
Social media companies took that to control dissent. There is no such thing as hate speech. It's not a real thing. It's just words that people don't like. There's a word for a lot of things that they already classify as hate speech, but when they call it hate speech, they can write a policy around it. YouTube has a policy around it that they not only implement in videos as a creator, but even in the comment section as people that use their website are receiving 24-hour bans for hate speech at all time levels now. What is hate speech? Nobody really knows. It's just words that they want to lump in words of dissent as a method to control, ban, and censor people. And we're looking at this new legislation, which was reported on over at thepublica.com, which, by the way, you should have that bookmarked as a daily read. You know, we have a big team working there, working very hard. This article by Shay, big fan of. Ireland free speech groups slam government for proposing law that could jail people for possession of hateful memes. Just for the possession of a meme, they will put you in prison. A free speech advocacy group in Ireland has launched a new campaign in an effort to fight back against proposed hate speech bill, which would limit public discourse around political issues. Free Speech Ireland is labeling the law onerous anti-free speech legislation. This is what diversity and equity and inclusion look like. This is what, a lot of leftist policies look like in action. Actual literal censorship of your language under made-up violations. The grassroots campaign shared the petition on social media along with a video warning Irish citizens of the danger the bill possesses to freedom of expression, which is meant to be protected under both the Irish Constitution and the European Convention of Human Rights. Remember when, just to bring it back to the United States here, I'll give you a perfect example. Have you ever heard of the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center? It's a bully organization that doesn't do any good on the planet. It solely exists to be used as a tool by Democrats to smear people, a tool to be used by social media companies to censor. They are a joke organization that is run by joke people, and they do no good on this planet. Just to give you an idea of who the SPLC is, what they do, excuse me, they designated Pepe the Frog. These are the same bright minds of people that said the OK hand symbol was actually some sort of weird thing to say white power or something like that. The SPLC is so stupid that 4chaners on their lunch breaks will convince them to add things to their hate speech catalog or their, classification catalog so that Hillary Clinton can say, oh my God, people are posting Pepe the Frog. It's a Nazi symbol. What? So that's what the SPLC is. We have this garbage in the United States. Every day I'm thankful for our First Amendment, even if our government is currently trampling on it every chance they get. The Irish government wants to pass a law that could see you or loved ones jailed for the possession of memes, cartoons, or any content that could be deemed hateful.
The Irish government is proposing a law known as the Hate Speech Bill that threatens free speech. This law could have dire consequences for our democracy.
Yeah, I'd say so. The hate speech bill, again, hate speech is not a real thing. I will continue to point that out to people. I mean, I know my viewers, my regular viewers, know this, but hate speech is not real. It's just a bunk, fake categorization that elites, in particular leftists, have created to censor people. It's fake. There's no such thing. The hate speech bill, formerly known as the Criminal Justice Bill, covers hate crimes and hate speech. Some sections of legislation outline 12 offenses which are already illegal, but could now result in harsher punishment if the motive for the crime is found to be hateful. I think that most crime is powered by hate, or many crime is, I suppose. The bill also introduces, by the way, that's also selectively used. If you look at, crime statistics all the time, if a white person does something to a black person, it's a hate crime. If a black person does something to a white person, even if their social media is full of anti-white rhetoric, they're not getting hate crime escalations. Just doesn't happen. In their petition, which launched last week, Free Speech Ireland outlined that the provision in Section 7 sets a troubling precedent by establishing that an individual could be deemed guilty of an offense through the act of communicating material to the public or section of the public, a tweet, a Facebook post, something along those lines. Due to its far-reaching implications, the bill has been highly criticized internationally. Vocal opponents of the bill include Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr. Musk took to X, formerly Twitter, to call the proposed legislation a massive attack against freedom of speech. He also announced that he plans to file legal action to try and stem the law. Yesterday, Musk shared the Free Speech Ireland petition, writing, "Destroying freedom of speech means destroying democracy." I'd agree with that, 100%. Donald Trump Jr. also criticized the proposed legislation, writing, "It's insane what's happening in the, quote, free world." A spokesperson for the Irish Ministry of Justice has claimed the true purpose of the bill is to protect those who are the most vulnerable to hate crime or hate speech. The bill is currently at the third stage of Irish Senate. It is expected to be enacted by the end of it was expected to be enacted by the end of 2023, but was delayed early in the year as it had already come under heavy scrutiny in the Senate. Particularly, the bill does not include clear definitions of either hate or gender, which is exactly what I said. That's exactly what I mean, they don't have any clear definitions of anything. They want it to be vague. They want to be able to jail you for any reason, just like social media or traditional media platforms like YouTube and things of that nature. They want to be able to ban you for any reason whatsoever, and they'll just call it hate speech. What is hate speech? They don't have to tell you. Who's affected by it? They also don't have to tell you. But they can put you in jail. They can ban you from social media. Get you fired from your job. The definition of gender in the bill is vaguely defined as the gender of a person or the gender in which the person expresses as the person's preferred gender. So if you ignore someone's preferences, that's a crime now. It would appear. The bill includes gender identity and gender expression as protected characteristics. This is a choice people make. It does not need to be protected. You're choosing to identify as something. You want to identify as an androgynous tree person? Cool. I'm fine with that. Okay? You want to compel me? No, I'm not cool with that. You want to put me in jail? You want to, fine me for not respecting a preference of yours? No, I'm not okay with that.
Want to add that one too?
Many have expressed concerns that the bill will criminalize people simply for expressing criticism of gender ideology or for using the correct pronouns for trans individuals. Despite the controversy, the Irish Green Party Senator Pauline O'Reilly has defended the bill.
Why I was unsubscribed from Jared.
Speaking at a June hearing, she said if a person's views on another person's identities make their lives unsafe or insecure, unsafe, we could talk about. Insecure, that's a non-starter. And causes them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, our job as legislators is to restrict those freedoms for the common good. Nothing good is going to come from this. There are 105 genders listed on the internet, including agender, ace gender, APOC gender, astronomique, cookie gender, gender cat. All of this is now being landed in the middle of criminal laws. It's absolutely insane. And that's going to wrap up the YouTube version of this. If you want to watch the extended version, which I'm going to go on now and maybe hear some hate speech, make sure you join as a member of the Publica.com today. Watch this video on the Publica for the full uncut version. Now, how to do a hate speech. There are two genders. I will not identify, I will not indulge someone's own mental illness. It's not helping them. It's not helping somebody to indulge in their mental illness. That's the truth of it. Now, Free Speech Ireland's petition currently has 2,200 signatures at the time of writing, with the goal of 10,000. All this is being landed in the middle of a criminal law where somebody could be attacked for being a hater or stating in robust but necessarily robust terms that this is that this is the nonsense, but it's dangerous nonsense that puts children at risk when it's imported into the curriculum at schools. It's wild to me that, I should probably share this myself as I'm doing this live. If you're a viewer, if you're a viewer of mine and you're in Ireland, you should probably be signing this petition. I don't know if signing petitions even matters anymore, but these people are elected. And, free speech needs to be protected worldwide. Fortunately, I have a platform, whether it's on the Quartering channel or it's on my Rumble live streams or it's here with the Publica. I have a platform that extends, globally. And so, maybe I'll get a mug or something like that to support them. I'll make some sort of, donation to them. This is so insane to me that, so you sign the petition, they've got 5,000 petitions. They now have 9,100 petitions. If everyone signatures, if everyone's signing this, if everyone's signing this, everyone's signing that petition, I suppose it matters more if you're actually from Ireland. I would suspect. Maybe people could use some memes to get this out there and speak more. It's so nuts to me. And I definitely stand with them. I stand strongly in free speech's favor. And this is the kind of garbage they're trying to do in Canada right now, the kind of garbage they want to do in the United States. In the United States, our First Amendment rights are constantly being trampled. Constantly. And, you know, it's really, really bizarre to me. It's really bizarre to me that so many people are unactivated. They are disinterested in protecting free speech. The more they take, the more they want, and the more they get. The more we let them have, the more they want. And I strongly, strongly stand with Ireland's free speech. Ireland and anybody's right to free speech anywhere in the world. Wait, the quartering video feed is fucked up again. Oh, the video feed is fucked up again. Is it? I'm not seeing an issue on my end. It's an attack on Tourette's, yeah. Video feed is fucked up big time. Or are you just messing with me? Looks fine to me. High definition, actually. Now, I do want to mention, shout out to this video's sponsor, Force. From Brickhouse Nutrition. It's a new year and a men's health survey asks guys, what would you change about yourself? Guy says, get fit, look better, and improve intimacy. Those goals line up with Force, the next-gen testosterone booster. Old testosterone products fail to build muscle and enhance intimacy performance. The studied ingredients in Force have been shown to power up testosterone for lean muscle, weight loss, and enhance intimacy. Here's the kicker. The power up natural growth hormone, and that's the performance difference maker. Force is total performance. Let us help you get started with 15% off and free rush shipping. Visit brickhouseforce.com and enter BOOSTQ. That's promo code BOOSTTQ. Promo code BOOSTTQ at brickhouseforce.com. brickhouseforce.com. I just got mine, actually. So it'll be interesting to see. Links also in the description. Let's talk about doobie-doo. What's everybody got planned this weekend? What you got planned this weekend.com.
People going too goddamn fast is what the problem is. Nobody knows how to limit themselves. I can almost guarantee I got no parking down in Salt Lake City anywhere. Fuck out of the goddamn road.
53 in May.
Idiot. I'll have to call my other trucker buddy and get the place his customer to park. I'm not going to have anywhere to park.
I did lose all my guns in a tragic boating accident. All I have left is this 308, and I want to get it sighted in, but also I have a big boating expedition next weekend too that I wanted to bring my guns on, what I have left, so I hope that I don't lose them again. Millie? Millet? Millet? 3 people have typed 3 different things. Millet. Doop a doop a doop a doop a doop a doop boo. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba da ba ba ba. Millet. Millie, or is it Millie or Millet?
Millie Vanilli.
Miley? You assholes. I hate you all. Now I guaranteed I'll never say it right. And you guys will all make fun of me in the comments. What were you doing with all your guns on a boat? I mean, I can't be the only person that takes all their guns with them on boating trips. Right? You guys do that too, right? I'm not the only one that does that, right? You guys all do that. No content here. Oh, bye, Patriot Lady for Trump. You should probably stay. I think there's lots of good content. Yeah. I thought everyone did that. Yeah, guns do enjoy getting out on the water. Yeah. Don't you? Yeah, don't you enjoy getting out on the water? What do you think? You know, one of the times when I was getting swatted, the cop that was here saw that I have some guns magnetically mounted to walls around my house. And he's like, I like that. He's like, he said, you have any other guns laying around? I said, no, I lost all the other ones in a tragic boating accident. And his partner held back a laugh and said, me too. Yeah, you do not go on a boat without all of your firearms. That's true. Everybody knows that. I have guns magnetically mounted all over the place in my house. That is until the tragic boating accident. We do a little trolling. Your gun tan lotion. Yeah, when you go out, don't let your guns get sunburned. M60, the best gun for fishing. My guns, they didn't like to fish. They just like being on the open water, you know?
What the hell happened?
What's her TLDR? She's got a nice following here on Rumble. I'll give her a follow. I'm unfamiliar with her content. All right. All right. I know that Twitch is struggling for viewership, apparently, well, at least for profitability. They just had their CEO come out the other day and say that the entire platform, in spite of having, I don't know, billions of watched hours of content every week or whatever it is not making any money. So why not bring a literal Terry onto your live stream? If you're Hassan Piker, what a great idea. A guy that is being used as a who is best known online as the Houthi pirate, and he's being worshipped by Gen Z on TikTok. Made a little appearance on Hassan Piker's stream, and people are pretty pissed off about it. Now, I got to point out, it is my understanding that this guy isn't actually a member of that group, but he was used by them as propaganda or something like that. But this is just the most Hassan thing that could have ever happened. Bit of poor taste. Community reacts as Twitch streamer Hassan Ibi goes live with Houthi pirate who went viral on TikTok. Now, from what I understand, this kid is not actually a member of that tribe, but used by them. Or he was, filming on one of the ships they took, is what I understand. But that is not how Hassan introduced him. That is not how he is known. Turkish-American streamer and political commentator Hassan Tenply Soft Piker, also known as Hassan Abi, has recently gained media attention after appearing on a video call with his Twitch stream with the TikTok sensation Houthi pirate. By the way, these are the individuals that are firing rockets at civilians, merchant ships. They are not heroes. They trade in children. Their literal core tenets are God is the greatest, death to America. And then they say the same thing about Israel, a curse upon the Jews and victory to Islam. That is their banner. That's what their banner says. That's who they are. Okay? So these people, they're also trafficking in kids, all sorts of stuff like that. These are not good people. They don't need to be normalized. They don't need to have, again, I'm not saying that Hassan shouldn't be allowed to have on whoever he wants. He's allowed to have on whoever he wants, okay? I'm just pointing out the reaction to it and how stupid Hassan Piker really is. From a multi-million-dollar mansion, by the way. During the interview, Hassan asked the Houthi pirate several questions about the ongoing war, the situation in Yemen, and the pirate's motives for being on a vessel prominently featured in his TikToks. In addition to these questions, he also inquired if the pirate had ever seen One Piece, an anime referencing pirates. The question caused a stir on social media as Hassan went viral on the subreddit livestream fail. One Redditor called out the streamer's question about the anime amid an important discussion about war. Bit of poor taste. Peak mansion activism. Everything is a joke at the end of the day. Invite a Houthi pirate on to discuss their reivindication regarding an ongoing war. Joke about anime. Kind of irresponsible. The Houthi pirate has become a sensation on social media platforms like TikTok. According to The interview with Hassan Abi, the individual, is a 19-year-old from Yemen who has gained popularity for his videos in which he stands in front of a ship that was seized by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. Many users have shared these videos because he has a striking resemblance to the Hollywood actor Timothée Chalamet. So from what I understand is these Terrys were allowing people to go on these ships and film these TikToks because it's free propaganda for them. What this kid is doing is he's advertising for Terrys. That's what he does, right? The pirates' videos have also gotten backlash due to the Houthis being linked to child slavery and the relations with the ongoing war. During the interview, Hassan also asked a young man if he was directly a part of the Houthis.
Try and go around. Be stupid, dumbass. What a dumbass. It'll be 40. Dreamy. I do have to go a ways out of the way, but better safe than sorry. And with the roads being bad like this, I can use adverse road conditions or adverse weather conditions
Hey,
and
Jared.
make it to
Hey,
my
Brandon.
intended target anyway. It is beautiful, but yeah, this is deadly as fuck right here.
Get your hand in this building. Fix that. Alright, fix it.
Intended target is over in Wyoming. Max Ferguson, welcome in. How you doing? Alright. Let me concentrate here. Well, I'm doing 20 miles an hour, so I feel safe doing 20. I got my flashers on, so we're good to go. It's indeed getting slick though. I'm kind of sliding right now. I'm still basically in Salt Lake City, Patrick. Yep, trailer's sliding. Change required there, northbound. They should be telling motherfuckers way down here instead of way up there. Like, that seems like more a risk to life and limb than stupid. Yes, I get it, motherfucker. Jesus criminy. I'm not going that way, bro. Nope. Got a spin out here. See? These fuckers are idiots, man. They're spinning out everywhere. Slow down! See that? Going too goddamn fast. idiot. Can I get around through Heber City? That's all I need to know. Please and thank you. Fucking idiot. And you have fucking dumbass, dude. All green through Heber City and Provo. It's getting worse and worse, though. No, I'm going to park. Fucking dumbass! Jesus Christ. They have, I've seen triple tandem tankers, Phoenix. These fucking people are goddamn idiots. I'm getting off the fucking road. I'm not dealing with this shit. Way too much stupid going on for me. Fucking got me all the way fucked up. If anything, I'll drive late at night so I don't have to deal with these dumb bucks. Give me a second. I gotta try and put an address in here real quick. $25.90. 2571. Bear with me, guys. What a bunch of fucking retards. My God. Oh shit, wrong one. They're out and about. I'm not even really paying attention to chat, guys, so just bear with me. My God, it's getting even worse. I'll be able to park in 5.5 miles. My trucker buddy gave me an address I can go park at. I won't have access to drinks or anything like that, but I do have water with me. This whole fucking city is about to shut down. Doc, it was Paul that said it, not Don. Yes, I just looked real quick. Trust me, Paul. I'm paying attention to the road. These guys want to go faster, they can go around me. If I stop now, I'll be able to leave at about 12:45 p.m. rounding, or 10:45 p.m. That gives them 10 hours. Let this storm pass and work on the roads. Well, and if it gets too bad, early in the morning I'll head to a truck stop. Might be something close by I could walk to, maybe. Fucking dumbasses, man. Hey, you know what, Patrick? If that's what happens, that's what happens. Ain't no load worth my life or someone else's life. I don't give a fuck. All right, thank you, Phoenix. Fucking scanner is of no use right now. It's all good, Dreamy. I appreciate you trying. I usually try to look the information up myself, so. Won't let you. You can email it to me. Yeah. Well, no, that was the fan kicking on. Barakua, thanks for coming in. Yeah, we're headed to park. I'm not gonna play around with this shit. It's in the chat, Phoenix. Look up the message from Streamlabs. Yeah, there's no drinks anywhere near me, but that's all right. Thank you guys. I appreciate every last one of you. Thanks for bearing with me. It's a little butthole puckering, white knuckle driving. Thank you, Patrick. Collection, thank you. Appreciate y'all. That vote of confidence means a lot. No, you never get used to it either. Ever. Never, ever, ever. I can guarantee you all the truck stops are full right now. So going to one of them would just be a waste of time. Yep, I'm gonna be parking on the side road, but it is what it is. I can cook right here in my truck, Patrick. That's what I cooked last night.
Hey, Matt.
Right there. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. I got to make some phone calls. I appreciate y'all riding along with me. Help me out with information.
Pizza.
Y'all rock. Y'all are awesome.
And nothing for pizza.
About 10:30 in the morning, 10:45 tonight, I mean, we'll be live again. Hopefully this will be gone. If not, we'll figure out another way around it. Fuck it. Much love, peace, and bacon grease. Y'all take care and stay safe. See ya!
Why some Christians have a bit of a problem with that, but it's important for you to know because God spent about 8 times the time speaking about the second coming than he did the first coming. And obviously the first one was a big deal because it kind of saved people. Without the first coming, the second coming doesn't really quite matter that much because we would all be under judgment and I wouldn't want to be around for that anyway. But I guess my big question, Alex, is what made you start? So you talked about it a little bit. Was it your grandfather, you said?
Yes.
So other than that, was there any influence or was it just your grandfather's influence talking about kind of eschatology that made you dive into it a little bit?
Well, I want to be 100% clear. I mean, the New World Order has brought us the end times and has proven the Bible's right. So that's why I've gotten way more interested. I mean, growing up, we went to church on Sundays, and then we would have Bible studies a lot of times at the house on Sunday night. My parents led, and I could watch if I wanted to and hang out there if I wanted to. That turned out to be like 20 people there, but usually there'd be some other kids we run around outside. And we went to church on Wednesdays, and we went to a evangelical style, a pretty big church, and so I was just growing up with this as a background, and so it's kind of in the back of your head.
Yeah.
And then my grandfather, once I moved to Austin, when I was in college, and then having my job and already on air for a lot of years, he died about 12 years ago. My grandmother about 5 years ago. He was just constantly saying, "Watch, this is all going to be fulfilled." And he would get really upset when he'd see these preachers on TV setting a date. He would say those people are deceived by setting a date. Then when it doesn't happen, that's going to make people fall away. That's a tool of the devil.
Right.
And he was just really, he said, comes like a thief in the night, no man knoweth. It's Christ at the hour of the return. And so then I've seen the left use that when these preachers get a bunch of attention saying it's this date for like a year, then it doesn't happen. Then they say, oh, the Bible's disproven. No, the Bible says no one knows. And if they tell you they know, that person's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all there. And so the older you get, the more you know, you go, this is incredible. Like, I get chills right now. So I want to be clear. I'm not Mr. Preacher, and I'm not holier than thou. I mean, I don't tell lies on purpose, and I don't sell out to evil. But, I mean, I made the point about being hungover. That's probably why I was throwing up. I mean, I've got my own issues. I'm not perfect. I'm not on I'm not on some high horse. So many people are turned off by the church because it's preaching a watered down Bible, and it's also just attacking people individually instead of showing them the big picture. The devil's real, God's real. You better pick a side. And so people, that's why I'm so much into end times, is it's here and it's all being fulfilled. And the globalists are fulfilling it and saying the future's not human. You will merge the machines. You will submit to all our social credit scores, our ESGs. You'll be tracked in live time. The Bible says everyone worldwide will see the image of the beast talking to them at once. They'll worship it, and that's television, holograms.
Right.
I mean, it's like there's no way John on the Isle of Patmos 2,000 years ago just made this up. There's no way Daniel just made it up, or Ezekiel, and it's just all congruent, proving itself. And so if someone doesn't have the Holy Spirit of discernment, they read it's a bunch of gibberish. That once you actually are, plus we're living in the time. You said something so important that I'll shut up for a minute, Gerald, and that is in the 70s and 80s. I mean, there I was, not just going to our church, but I would also go with my friends to their church. And it was like there were all these movies and films, and people were really awake. There's going to be a one world government, and the beast system at Brussels, and a beast computer.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere. And then once the 90s and the 2000s, and once it all started coming true, the preachers went, whoa. Because it's one thing to say the Bible says it's coming, and then it's kind of like science fiction and really interesting. But now a lot of the preachers are like, whoa, I'm not going to scare the hell out of people, which is actually, we should be celebrating and going, my gosh, God is real.
Right.
This is a warning. God gave us free will, but God also gave us a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
And so like, hey, kids, I want you to pass the test. Here's so if you pay attention, you will. And so this is a big deal. And this is 100% real. And then I think about the experiences I had in Dallas particularly, and then coming to Austin, and then being around Hollywood, which never tried to be in, but it wanted me to be in it. Yeah. And it was Satanism, Luciferianism, sex parties, the whole 9 yards. I never got into rituals, but I was picked up by chicks repeatedly trying to recruit me into things in Dallas and a decade later in Hollywood. Austin's more new agey, not a lot of that here. But that's almost a more creepy form of it. Yeah. So I've really, I never fell away and said, I denounce God and God isn't real, I'm an atheist. But I mean, I was in points in my life where I wasn't taking drugs really, but I was drinking and a lot of women and, and on a power trip, and really prideful about how, I was, and I'd say I was kind of corrupt, let's say maybe 14 to about 20. And then I kind of rediscovered God, and then the Holy Spirit much more stronger than when I was saved when I was about 10. And then literally God started talking to me and showing me things, and I would have dreams that came true and all these things. And now I get stronger and stronger and stronger to where, and you talk about spiritual warfare, we'll get into it. At this point, that's all that is, you have Christ, you have Jesus, you have a faith in that. Yeah. You are protected, but then the devil comes after people that you love who aren't in God. That's why you've got to get them into the Holy Spirit, or the devil's going to chew up your family in front of you. So that's what people better understand. This is more important than guns in your gun cabinet or storable food or water, getting your heart and soul ready. Because believe me, folks, without God, you won't be able to withstand Satan. This is going to be hardcore. No flesh will be spared if God doesn't intervene.
Right. And I want to bring something back up that you said, and I'll get to that in just a second. What you just said, no flesh will be spared unless God intervenes. There's some great quotes for us that really help us in Scripture that say that unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman watches in vain. Like, it doesn't matter. You can be as prepared as you want to be, but if God is not watching over the city, it really doesn't matter, right? It's a bigger picture than this. But churches did get away from this. And I think maybe because they started seeing people kind of practice this escapism, right? So instead of focusing on being productive here and now, right? What am I supposed to do today? What am I supposed to do in the next 5 years of my life if by chance the Lord allows me to have those? They started looking kind of into the future, and they were so heavenly minded that they were no earthly good, is what my pastors would say every once in a while. But churches got away from preaching about Revelation and Daniel and some other topics that are very, very interesting and very important topics, because it basically gives you the opportunity to point at Scripture and go, God called that, right? In Ezekiel, when it talks about the dry bones and the nation of Israel coming back, like that's something that has to happen for the rapture to happen, for the tribulation to happen. It talks about them having a temple and having sacrifices, and then having the abomination that causes desolation set up. Well, if Israel isn't a country, if Israel doesn't have the land, there is no temple, right? There is no temple right now, but it's impossible unless they're there. Well, until 1948, that was impossible. Until modern television was invented, it was impossible for us to all watch the two witnesses at the Wailing Wall. And it says that when those guys are killed because they've tormented people for this period of time, just by speaking the truth and withholding rain to basically say, guys, you have to listen. Let me get your attention. No rain. Let me get your attention. Listen to God loves you. He wants to save you. They rejoice, and the entire world watches them die. And then they exchange gifts like it's Christmas. And then they're brought back to life, and it freaks everybody out, obviously. If somebody was brought back to life after 3 days laying on the ground and we've been celebrating their death, it'd be a little weird. I'd kind of get freaked out too. I get it. I understand. But none of that technologically was even possible. And so when churches don't get into this, I think they're doing a bit of a disservice to their congregations, because it's almost, think about what we have now with kind of the cancel culture, right? We're obviously both very familiar with how that works in our society. You create a vacuum. You start to create a vacuum where people go, okay, well, you're not talking about this, so I'm going to go listen to 15 or 16 or 20 other people over here talking about it, and I may not be grabbing good information. Right? So when you start canceling people in our industry, you start pushing them off into the fringes, you can't easily.
Once again, to Leto's Law. Here's Steve Leto.
I had a whole bunch of people send me this story. I'm going to tell you right now, one of the main reasons I'm doing it is I'm convinced that in a few days we're going to see a whole bunch of headlines that are going to get the story wrong. It has to do with wind turbines and permits, okay? So judge orders wind turbines removed from Osage Nation, from agweb.com, and Greg Henderson wrote this. And I assure you, like I said, in a couple of days when the mainstream media picks up on this, they're going to say, crazy court ruling says that you must get a permit to harvest the wind, or some such. But that's not what happened. Federal judge in Oklahoma has ordered the removal of an 84-turbine wind farm spread across 8,400 acres in Osage County, with a final ruling that ends a decade-long legal battle over illegal mining on the Osage Reservation. The cost for removal of the turbines is estimated at $300 million. You might say, but Steve, what mining are they talking about? Well, they're talking about the definition of mining underneath some federal laws, and it has to do with how they installed the wind turbines. The ruling in Tulsa federal court was against a couple of companies, and the order grants the United States and the Osage Nation, through its Minerals Council, permanent injunctive relief via ejectment of the wind turbine farm for continuing trespass. So they are getting an ejectment order, meaning that these wind turbines have got to go. The Osage Allotment Act of 1906 states that the Osage Nation owns the subsurface rights to the minerals in the area, the mineral rights. The Minerals Council is an arm of the Osage Nation that manages the minerals estate. A trial date for damages due to the tribe has not yet been set, but a spokesperson for the Osage Minerals Council said the tribe is looking for at least the value of damage to the land, all lawyer fees, profits, and tax incentives that the companies received as a result of the installation. At issue in the case is whether a mining permit was required to construct the wind farm. The defendants began leasing surface rights from private landowners for the project in 2013. Construction began in 2013. Also, an excavation began in September of 2014. A 2017 appellate court decision determined that construction of the wind farm constituted mining, and therefore a lease from the Osage Nation was required, which they did not get. The developers failed to acquire a mining lease during or after construction, as well as after issuance of the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals decision holding that a mining lease was required, says the judge. On the record before the court, it is clear the defendants are actively avoiding the leasing requirement. Permitting such behavior would create the prospect for future interference with the Mineral Council's authority by defendants or others wishing to develop the mineral lease. The court concludes that defendants' past and continued refusal to obtain a lease constitutes interference with the sovereignty of the Osage Nation and is sufficient to constitute irreparable injury. Now, that's the entire story there from agweb.com. That's very good. It's concise. But I pulled the opinion that the court here is referring to. And it's something like 27 pages long, but it does explain the rationale as to what's happening here. So there's land that is privately owned, big portions of it are, underneath which are mineral rights. And there's federal law governing this situation. The case presents the question whether a large-scale excavation project constituted mining under the pertinent federal regulations that address mineral development on Indian land. And the project involved the excavation, modification, and use of rock and soil during installation of wind turbines. When an entity engages in mining of minerals owned by the Osage Nation, a federally approved lease must be obtained from the tribe. The BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, has defined mining as the science, technique, and business of mineral development, and the court holds that the term mineral development has a broad meaning. While it includes commercial mineral extractions and offsite relocations, which are not at issue here, it also encompasses action upon the extracted materials for the purposes of exploiting the minerals themselves on site. So Congress established the Indian reservation for the Osage Nation in 1872. Oklahoma incorporated the territory as Osage County. In 1906, Congress severed the Osage mineral estate in the county from the surface estate. So the land on the surface could be bought and sold freely by those who owned it, but the mineral rights always remained the property of the nation, of the Osage Nation, okay? The mineral estate beneath those lands was not allotted to individual members of the tribe. Rather, the mineral estate was reserved for the benefit of the Osage Nation, and the U.S., the United States government, was established as legal trustee for the mineral estate. And so if you wanted to do something with that, you had to get permission from the Osage Nation and approved by the U.S. government. The Department of the Interior promulgated several regulations pertinent to this case, and they refer to the Code of Federal Regulations. And the CFRs are there. Every attorney knows about them. And they're there to clarify federal law elsewhere. So the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, which I work with all the time, has CFRs that break down further explanations, for instance, as what's in the Mag-Moss Act. So here the CFR, Part 211 of the 25 section, governs the development of Indian mineral resources generally, and it provides the applicable definition of mining. Mining means the science, technique, and business of mineral development, including but not limited to open cast work, underground work, and in situ leaching, directed to severance and treatment of minerals, provided when sand, gravel, pumice, cinders, granite, building stone, limestone, clay, or silt is a subject mineral. An enterprise considered mining only the extraction of such mineral exceeds 5,000 cubic yards in any given year. So that's the definition of mining. Section 214 governs all other resources in the estate, including solid mineral resources. And there it says, no mining or work of any nature shall be permitted upon any tract of land until a lease covering such tract shall have been approved by the Secretary of the Interior and delivered to the lessee. So the real question then boils down to, is the work they did building and installing these wind turbines, did that constitute mining under this CFR? So in 2010, Osage Wind leased surface rights to approximately 8,400 acres of private land in the county for the purpose of building a commercial wind farm. The planned wind farm involved the installation of 84 turbines secured in the ground by reinforced concrete foundations, underground electrical lines running between the turbines and a substation, an overhead transmission line, meteorological towers, and access roads. These structures would occupy around 1.5% of the total acreage of the surface land. In 2011, OMC and the United States expressed concern that the project would interfere with oil and gas production by blocking access to the mineral estate. Acting on that concern, the first lawsuit was filed, and there's been litigation pretty much ever since then. And a big chunk of this opinion deals with whether or not different entities had standing, but it boiled down to the court made a ruling on the issues of the case. And they said, here's the question. Did Osage Wind's excavation work constitute mining? If yes, they got problems. If no, they're free and clear. Osage Wind engaged in large-scale mineral extraction work to install wind turbines. That's the court's finding. It first removed rock, sediment, and soil from the ground, creating large holes into which it could pour a cement foundation for each turbine. Next, it sorted the extracted rock material into small and large pieces, and then crushed the smaller pieces so they'd be the proper size for backfilling the holes. Finally, it positioned the bigger rock pieces adjacent to the backfilled excavation sites, all of this done to add structural support to the large wind turbines installed deep in the ground. And of course, that all is digging, sorting, crushing, and backfilling. And the court says that is, in fact, mining under the CFRs. And it goes on through pages and pages of more specific explanations here and definitions. But basically what it boils down to is the installation of the wind turbines, the installation. They got the rights from the people who own the property, the surface of the earth, to install these turbines. If the turbines simply sat on the surface and did nothing more, they'd probably be in the free and clear. But we all know that's not what's happening here. And so a lot of people don't stop to think about this, but you can buy a house nowadays on a piece of property that you own, and someone else owns the mineral rights, which they'll probably never act upon, depending on where you live. But if they do act upon it, you might find out one day they come by and go, hey, we've discovered oil underneath your property. We're going to start drilling. And if they got the rights to do that, they got the rights to do that. Most people don't stop and think about it. But here, you've got an entire county where the mineral rights are owned by an entity that's been granted those rights by a federal statute. And the federal statute governs what can and cannot happen subsurface in that county with respect to mineral rights. And it says you cannot do any mining without getting permission from the Osage Nation and approved by the federal government. So the court says when you come in and dig a gigantic hole, pull all the material out of the hole, you put something of your own in the hole, and then you process what you took out of the hole and put it back into the hole, that's mining under the definitions of the various statutes and the Code of Federal Regulations. So that's what the law says. And so keep in mind that this lawsuit was originally filed a few years ago, and this controversy has been known for a while. So I assure you there were attorneys somewhere back in the early mists of time with respect to this case who said, gee, I wonder if we should worry about the definitions of mining, not under common law, not under various statutes in other states, but under the specific statute that addresses these mineral rights underneath this particular county. And I assure you somebody spotted that and said, well, we're not really mining though. Well, depends on what the definition of mining is in that statute. It appears to address what you're doing there when you're installing these wind turbines, okay? So there's your problem. So now you're stuck. What do you do? Because a court has said you've got to remove those, and we're going to have a trial on damages where you may have to pay more money because you went and did this and you shouldn't have done it. So we're at a juncture. One is they could remove all the power turbines at a cost of approximately $300 million and then sit through a trial and then get hit with a damage award if, in fact, one is granted. That's door number one. Door number two is they could approach the Osage Nation and say, well, we've installed them. Taking them down would be a waste of money. Why don't we work something out? Because they generate some kind of money, right? They must. That's why you put them up. So how about we work out some kind of deal where we will pay you for the fact that we've done this? Presumably they could do that. The appellate court ruling did say that no permits were pulled before or after, implying they could have been pulled after. And they could do that. They could approach them and say, hey, look, we're willing to pay you, cut you in on this somehow. We're willing to pay you, okay? And if that doesn't work, well, the third option gets ugly because there are a couple entities here that's an LLC, and an Inc. corporation. And as you probably know by now, LLCs and corporations, if they get into a really bad situation financially, they can often pull the plug on them and walk away from them. So what they could do is they could say, oh, well, we haven't got the $300 million to take them down. We can't work out a deal with these people. We're out of here, and leave. And then, of course, the question is, are these things that they're leaving behind, the wind turbines, are they any value left up, or would they get taken down? I don't know. So there's a bunch of stuff that could happen here. But I suspect that one of the reasons it's taking so long now, because remember, this opinion here was filed late in 2017. And now we've got a judge just now talking about how that affects this case. I suspect there have been some high-level negotiations taking place where someone's trying to get this resolved in a way that would make sense for everybody. But it's a dangerous game to play where you invest that much money and that much effort into putting something in place when someone's going to come after you and their remedy is, we want it all torn down. We want it all torn down. And courts, generally speaking, don't like those kinds of destructive ends to cases because as far as just justice goes, you want to do what you can to help everybody as best you can. And so if somebody is completely in the right, somebody else is completely in the wrong, yeah, you can rule in this favor and zero out the other side. But is there a solution that might help everyone here? And the solution might be that they say, okay, now simply negotiate with the nation and get the lease that you need, and you should have gotten before, but it's going to cost you a little more now because of the situation you're in. But you are over a barrel. So there you go. But as of right now, a judge has ordered the removal of 84 turbines from a wind farm spread across 8,400 acres. And they say that that's going to cost about $300 million. But like I said, I predict the headlines are going to say things like federal judge in crazy court ruling says you got to get a permit to harvest the wind. Not to inherit it, but to harvest it. That's not what happened here. So the story is from agweb.com. Greg Henderson wrote that. Several people sent it. Thanks a lot. Judge orders wind turbines removed from Osage Nation. And of course, now I will point out one last time that I'm going to get a lot of pushback for saying turbine as opposed to turbine. And I would suggest that you consult your local neighborhood dictionary to discover that the word turbine can be pronounced both ways, turbine or turbine. It's a matter of preference, but neither is incorrect. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Leto's Law. Every closed eye is not sleeping, and every open eye is not seeing.
Welcome, welcome, everyone, one and all. If you can hear me, if you hear the sound of my voice, then you are the resistance. And we'll give a few minutes for people to join us. I am Leroy Truth for Leroy Truth Investigations, and please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, and put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. All right, and this is going to be a banger of a show, powerful, powerful, powerful show. Now, I have a very, very disturbing image in the thumbnail of Dr. Ina Farley. And I'm not sure if YouTube will repress, shadow ban the announcement of this video, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But regardless of how many people we have on the live stream, I'm going to re-upload it as a freestanding video. So first, I want to give a shout out to a number of the people in the chat. I'm so happy and I really appreciate you spending some time with me tonight. We have Lou, Tavi, Vivian, 10TP, President Ranker, King C, Victor Rice, Hillsborough, President Ranker, Rob, DJ, Mike, Christy, Curtis, Larry. Thanks so much for joining me. And first step of business, first part of business, please hit the like button. That will tell YouTube that you're here.
Yeah, those roads look scary as fuck. It was he made the right decision just getting off. Fuck those chains, fuck everything else. The other drivers were scaring the shit out of me. Yeah, he needed to get off the road. I think he made a good decision there. Set it out for a few hours, get some rest. Hopefully they'll have done something with the roads by then. Not to deal with it.
And they will give more reach to this video. So hit the like button and put a comment on there as well. Barbara Rogers, JC News, again, Christy Hutter, Observing Paranoid People, thank you so much. Now, a couple of things before we get started, and today's going to be a banger because I have special guests Many of you have seen the video of Dr. Ina Farley, a beautiful woman who's made a profound impact in our world. 84 years old, and I happened to come across a YouTube video that had a few likes on it, and I was so moved by what happened, which 84-year-old Dr. Ina Farley was forcibly removed from her home by police and a social worker and forced into a nursing home. And many people have asked for an update. Leroy, can you let us know what happened? Also, why didn't the son, one of her sons was there. Why didn't he stop the police? Why didn't he protect her? And I made some assumptions when I was watching the video, because I heard the son and saying, man, if that was my mother, I would have, even if I got arrested, I would have stopped that from happening. However, I'm going to go into this more detail, but to just give you a bit here, I spoke with Mr. Jonathan Farley, who is with me today, and he had reached out to me, and he had sent me a very detailed message about why he didn't have the police, get in the way of the police or try to have them stop doing that to his mother. If he got arrested, he told me, there's no one on his mother's side to help his mother. And a police officer, I don't even think this was on video, or maybe I didn't hear it, but Jonathan had told me, a police officer told him that if you even speak to your mother, I will arrest you. I mean, this is despicable. We're supposed to treat our elderly with respect and care that they deserve. And no matter what their accomplishments in life, they're our parents, for God's sakes. And I know Jonathan deeply loves his mother. And we've talked extensively since my video aired. And my video that I put out was over 3 weeks ago. And this video is still getting views to this day. Most videos have a shelf life, day or two. After 3 weeks, this video is getting around the world. And right now it just hit, I think, 72,000 views. And I'm doing this live stream because I want, if anyone hasn't watched that video, watch it again. And then call the people that I have listed in there for accountability. Because my purpose in doing these videos and in covering Dr. Ina Farley's story is to get her out of the prison nursing home that she has been forced into by Chris Farley, one of her other sons, against her will. And you're going to get the real story, the deep, true story from Jonathan Farley, the good son, who is helping her, who lives with her, and is doing everything he can to get his mother home. However, Chris Farley, the brother, has banned Jonathan from even seeing his mother. Chris Farley has banned Ina Farley's friends from seeing her. And that thumbnail you saw when you saw that I was going to be doing a live stream video tonight, is from what happened to her after she was forced into this, basically a prison nursing home. She never injured herself before when she was living living in her home along with Jonathan. She gets forced into a nursing home. That's how she ends up. So, a couple things I want to share before we get started with the story. I'm going to share a video, some of the video that I shared previously, so it brings context and reminds you what the story is about. And I'm also going to share a 2-minute video of a 94-year-old woman being taken out of her home against her will. And when police officers do this, it is wrong. The police officers who took Jonathan Farley's mother, Ina Farley, out of her home, according to what I've found out, and Jonathan confirmed this, he can confirm this, there was no court order to remove her. It's just Chris Farley wanted her out, possibly for money, is what I hear. And she had accrued quite a bit of money, in the $1 million or $2 million, possibly. There was no court order. The police who took her out did so absolutely unlawfully, from what I understand. Jonathan will clarify that. And a couple of things is, someone contacted me about a month and a half ago, and they said, Leroy, we've been watching your channel, And we really like your stories, how you present yourself and the mission you do. And would you be open to doing a documentary about your work, your Lead Right Truth Investigations work, and your life at large? And I vetted them, make sure that they were on the up and up and they weren't trolling. And these are two incredible professionals. And we spent the entire weekend filming this documentary about my work in Lead Right Truth Investigations and many other aspects of my life that you don't even know about. So stay tuned for that. It's the first documentary done about a YouTube First Amendment activist, police accountability, government accountability activist. And also stay tuned, because many of you know that there's been an ongoing series of Cold Spring, New York that I've done with the meanest mayor in America, Mayor Kathleen Foley. And I have an additional story that I've just gotten started in Union City, New Jersey, where it's alleged that Mayor Brian P. Stack, mayor and state senator, may be the most corrupt mayor in the United States of America. Or not U.S. senator, he's a state senator. And I have scores and scores of people contacting me, people in the police department, people in the city government, people in the Department of Public Works, people in the Board of Education, and residents reaching out to me, scores of them every day, saying, this is a corrupt mayor. This is their claims, not mine. I make no statements. These are allegations. They are saying this is the most corrupt mayor. We are afraid of him. There's pay to play. There's retaliation that constantly is happening if we don't donate to his campaign. So stay tuned. I have a banger of a video tomorrow where a Department of Public Works worker on video, he claims that Mayor Brian P. Stack spied on him, found out he didn't vote, personally calls him on the phone and pressures him to vote and says, oh, you didn't vote. Why? Oh, I'm going to send you an absentee ballot. And then I even have a letter that I read that Brian P. Stack sent out, I understand, to all the city workers who did not vote, saying, hey, I found out through public records that you didn't vote. Why? Don't I do a good job? Not voting can have consequences, etc. This is explosive. This will be national news. I will be releasing that video tomorrow. I believe it's at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. It'll be a live premiere, short video, only 11-minute video. It's powerful. So with that, I want to read some of the comments here. And we have here, when the people fear the government, you have tyranny. When the government fears the people, you have freedom or you have liberty. Absolutely. And so with that, I'm going to share, and I have my producer Scalzo here. Thank you so much, Scalzo, for all you do in the background here.
Yeah, that's a constant. I'm gonna drop
share
this in
the other
link.
video
There's
and
a
skip ahead the
constant
first 10 seconds as an
camera
advertisement of the 94-year-old woman being forcefully removed from her home. And what would you do if you were a police officer? Go ahead. Not too much. Go back. I want you to get the tail end of that. That's fine.
We don't want to hurt you.
Well, I'm going to pause it. Hold on. I'm going to pause it there. We don't want to hurt you. She's 94. My mother just died last year. She was 92. That breaks my heart. And then the police saying, I don't want to hurt you. Then freaking don't hurt her. Stop. Continuing.
God, look what you're doing to me.
Get arms. Just get arms.
Try not to hurt me. Help me, please. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No. You're not going to be able to get her in without going to the other side. Someone's there. Yeah. Juanita, come sit down. There you go.
Everything I got scarred.
Juanita Fitzgerald struggled to hold back tears as she fidgeted with her handcuffs. You can still see the bruises on her arm.
Is this sick, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, this is depraved. This is something those people that Germany in those 1940s did to people. And she reminds me, I mean, she looks so much like my mother right before she passed away. I mean, remarkably so. And I'm really sad to share something like this with you. But unless we hold the light of transparency by exposing these stories to you, and then you taking action, always peaceful, never violent. I condemn everything with threats of violence or any violence, always peaceful, legal action. But let your voices be heard to redress the government, to redress the prosecutors, and whoever else Jonathan feels that we should be redressing. Because they love it when people they watch a video on YouTube and then people comment, which is important. That exposes it, gets us reach so we can get the story out to more people. But they love it when you stop at that. They love it. All those people, they think they're being activists because they comment on YouTube videos and stop. And that's step one. I so appreciate that you all are here and you do that. But what you do is step two. Call and email the people responsible for this behavior and for Jonathan's mother's behavior. Continuing. It's a short video, but we'll continue and watch the end of it here. Another minute or so.
Where she says officers had to forcibly remove her from the Franklin House Independent Living Center.
I said, if you're going to take me, you're going to have to carry me. Yep, I did.
She says despite what's happened to her, all she wants is to be able to go back home. But since she's been evicted, she can't, and she has no place else to go.
I don't have anybody. My family's in Tennessee.
A spokesperson for the Franklin House says Juanita told them she thought she was going to die soon and had not paid her portion of the rent for the past 3 months. But Juanita says that's not true and that she tried to pay back in October.
Do you need help paying your rent?
No, honey.
You just think they were trying to kick you out because they didn't want to deal with you
She's been
anymore?
for a year trying to do that.
Terry Goldberg lives at the facility and says she knows Juanita well, even offered her food on several occasions.
It is what it is about her being there. I know there's lots of mixed feelings about it. I, for one, feel like we offered her all the help that we could offer her and she refused it.
While Juanita admits she's not one to accept help willingly, she never thought it would land her in the Lake County Detention Center.
You realize how smug, you realize because you see it, how smug that worker at that independent living facility was, how incredibly uncaring and compassionate. They need to trade places. That woman needs to be the one in an orange jumpsuit, chained to a wheelchair. This is beyond wrong. And this is not a rare occurrence. What happened to Dr. Ina Farley is not a rare occurrence. That's why we got to take action past this. And also, anyone here, if you'd like to support my work, if you do a super chat, super thanks, PayPal, always appreciated. And there's hours and hours and hours that goes into this, and I'm glad to do it, but never expected, but always appreciated.
And she says all she wants is to get out of here and be able to go someplace she can finally call home.
They'll take me somewhere.
Does that just make your blood boil? Most people just watch those things. They don't do anything about them. And make sure everyone to smash that like button, gets the word out there more. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And Lenny Malley, Cliff Williams. And we're going to do a call-in show, too, so stay tuned. About 20 minutes or so, we'll be opening the phone lines. You can ask questions directly of Jonathan Farley about his mother that he may not have covered. Tyrants Exposed, JC News Now, Joe Black. Thank you all so much for being here. Oklahoma Outlaw, Preston's Ranker, Oso. Condolences about my mother. And so I'm going to bring on now Jonathan Farley. And Scalzo, you had something? No. And
is probably one of the most bewildering countries on earth. A tyrannical government that persecutes political opposition, no freedom of speech, arresting people for questioning the status quo, and banning political opposition. I'm sure glad that I don't live in a country like that, but just like every other state in the world, they are really worried about things that could challenge their power. Something that Kim Jong-un is very concerned about. One of the only people who could have posed any kind of threat to Kim Jong-un's power was his own brother, Kim Jong-nam. Un was always really worried about Nam after Un was chosen to be leader and not him. So he had to be dealt with. So let's talk about Kim Jong-un assassinating his own brother. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. But before we get started, this video is brought to you by Scentbird. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that lets you try designer fragrances every month, and it won't break your bank because it only costs $17. Scentbird offers other affordable and flexible fragrance plans as well, so you can find the perfect plan that suits you. And if you want to skip a month or cancel your subscription, you can do so at any time. With Scentbird, there are no surprises. You get to pick what you want to receive each month. With over 600 perfumes and colognes with unisex options, you are sure to discover many amazing scents from brands such as Gucci, Prada and Versace, as well as some indie options such as Skylar, Heretic, Confessions and Rebel. My personal favourite fragrance note is likely cinnamon, but not so much mint or leathery scents. And while my best scent memory is not so much a fragrance, I do enjoy the smell of fresh cut grass in the summer. Thankfully, Scentbird allows me to choose my preferred scents so I can keep or remove the notes that I like and dislike. Each month you will receive a 30-day supply so you can try out a fragrance before committing to buying a larger bottle, which from other sources can sometimes cost anywhere from $150 to a crazy $500 a bottle. I received 3 different fragrances to try out. Firstly was Parisian Embrace by Sentier, which has notes of fresh peach, pear and brown sugar. Ebony and Cassis by Joe Loves, which has a very natural scent including notes of blackcurrant, myrrh and nutmeg. And lastly, Grandmaster by Mind Games, which has warm notes of incense, wild violet and blackcurrant.
Nice.
I really like the scent of
Nice,
Ebony
that's
and
weird.
Cassis and will definitely be getting more of it. So, to support the channel, use code DANKULA at scentbird.com or click the link down in the description for a huge 55% off, which is just over $7 for your first month. This service is only available in the USA and Canada. Thank you very much to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Please click the link down in the description and show them some love. Again, use code DANKULA at scentbird.com or click the link down in the description. There are a lot of different interpretations of the intentions, the outcomes, the reasons, and the what and why of this story, but I'll try to present it as clearly as I can because, as you can imagine, North Korea haven't exactly been very forthcoming in regards to information about this event. So I'm going to try and keep the story as close to what the main parties involved have said and released. 2 young women named Siti Aisyah of Indonesia and Doan Thi Huong of Vietnam had both been approached to become actors and take part in what they thought was a prank for a Japanese YouTube show. The producer hiring them used the name James when he met them, but we obviously know now that that was a fake name. The prank involved the women walking up to unsuspecting men in public and rubbing their faces with cosmetic creams and sometimes baby oil, occasionally kissing them and then running away while apologising. Yeah, this is apparently funny to people in those countries, but it does sound like an awful lot of other prank and social experiment videos. Little did they know, they were actually being groomed by government agents to participate in a pretty major event that they had no idea they were part of. And they were trained to think of it as just a prank bro that they were being paid to do and not question what they were putting on people's faces. Obviously, there was no prank show, and the girls were unknowingly being trained to take part in an assassination. On February the 13th, 2017, Kim Jong-un's estranged half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia after visiting the resort island of Langkawi. He felt safe being in a foreign country, away from North Korea and his family, so he had no idea what was about to happen. Kim Jong-nam was the eldest son of Kim Jong-il, which obviously would make him the most likely candidate to have the leadership of North Korea passed down to him once dear old dad passed away. But Nam was seen as a bit of a joke to the rest of his family. The idea of him ruling North Korea sickened them and, of course, would cause a lot of envy. Also, literally none of them thought he was even cut out for the task. After spending some time in Switzerland, Kim Jong-nam had gotten used to a luxurious and indulgent lifestyle. He would rather travel than stay at home in North Korea. One of the most well-known stories of him embarrassing his family was the time that he got arrested for using a false identity while entering Japan because he really wanted to go to Disneyland in Tokyo. This made global news, and as a result of the embarrassment that it caused, Kim Jong-nam was stripped of all of his powers in North Korea. Because, and this part's actually quite funny, his love for Disneyland marked him as a capitalist. This caused him to lose the trust of not only his family, but the North Korean people as well, who hated capitalists. Mostly because it's illegal for them to have any other kind of opinion about capitalists. I mean, all he had to do was go down Splash Mountain like this, you know, so everyone knew he didn't agree with it. And being a member of that specific family has a way of creating a very real paranoia, since none of that family trust each other and they very often like to kill each other. Either because if I don't get them first, they'll get me, or so they can be next in line for power. It's very, very Game of Thrones in that family. But the fact that Nam had caused a great deal of embarrassment, or because he was being detained by and interacting with authorities in other countries, telling them God knows what, meant that he was a problem that had to be dealt with. CT met her show producer, who was actually her handler, at a cafe in the airport to discuss the target for the prank. He told her that if she did well, then the boss would give her a big bonus this time. The handler pointed at Kim Jong-nam, who was wearing a grey suit that day, and said, "That's him." So CT prepared herself quickly for the prank, and the handler put a substance in her hand. She had very little time to comprehend anything other than to just copy the previous pranks that she had already been doing. It's assumed that Doan was also given the same information and had the same target pointed out to her. Kim Jong-nam was on his way to catch his flight at a self-service check-in kiosk, but was approached by both CT and Doan, who did the prank that they had been trained to do. They rubbed the oil all over his face like they had with all of the other men they did the prank to, and then ran off. What they didn't know, however, was that the substance that they had rubbed into his face wasn't cream or baby oil or makeup or any other kind of cosmetics like they had done with the other pranks. It was VX nerve agent. So, you know, not makeup, it was fucking VX nerve agent. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's VX nerve agent. Kim Jong-nam was a lot more angry with them compared to the other guys' reactions from the prank, which scared the women into running away from him. But the reason he was so angry is because he had a pretty good idea of what had just happened. What makes this situation even more fucked up is that one of the women was wearing a shirt that said LOL on it in capital letters, which is a little bit fucked up considering that she's just murdered a man, but I'm sorry, it is kind of funny. But to be fair, the women did think that this was just another prank that they had done successfully, meaning they were about to get that big bonus. For those of you who don't know about VX nerve agent, it is an extremely effective weapon for assassinations. And it would be extremely effective as a weapon of war if it wasn't absolutely banned everywhere, since it's considered a chemical weapon of mass destruction. The Russians have actually used it to assassinate people on British soil. The first symptoms are sweating in the area of contact, then muscle spasms and a runny nose, and sometimes the pupils will shrink. A short time after the person has been exposed, they'll start to feel sick and eventually vomit uncontrollably. And a short while after that, they will experience tightness in their chest and struggle to take a deep breath since their throat has started to constrict. Essentially, what's happening is every single organ, nerve, and bodily function is shutting the fuck down. Kim Jong-nam immediately knew that something was wrong. So he got the attention of an airport receptionist saying that someone had grabbed him from behind and splashed something in his face, and that another woman had covered his face with a cloth that had been soaked in liquid. He was instantly taken to the airport's medical centre by staff, and at first didn't seem to have anything wrong with him, since he was walking perfectly fine alongside the staff on his way to get checked over. In the airport CCTV footage, a man dressed all in black was seen with a wheeled luggage case pretending to be just another member of the public. But he seemed to be very preoccupied with looking into the clinic to see the medical status of Kim Jong-nam. It's heavily believed that this man was another operative and his job was to report on whether or not the nerve agent had taken hold. He was not the only suspicious person in the airport that day, however. Multiple others were assumed to be operatives as well. They all acted as though they were just innocent members of the public, but there was just something off about them. And the airport CCTV footage had also caught them following the women that had pulled the prank, and of course, outside the airport was a getaway car. As I mentioned earlier, the two women, Siti and Doan, thought that they had just pulled a silly prank and had no idea that they had participated in an assassination, which was part of the whole plan because afterwards they were just all calm and chill and didn't act suspiciously after the attack. Kim Jong-nam's symptoms got worse very quickly, and the medical staff needed to use a resuscitation mask while they were taking him to the ambulance on a stretcher. The chemical attack had taken effect extremely fast, and while being transferred, Kim Jong-nam died just 20 minutes after the prank had commenced. At this time, nobody knew that this was Kim Jong-un's brother since he was using a fake identity. The only way they were able to confirm it was him was by using his DNA. Yeah, seriously, everybody thought that this was just some poor random man that had a heart attack or something. You know, not the brother of the world's most famous dictator. Most of the people that had been identified as operatives had already left the country while being escorted by a North Korean diplomat. The planes that they had taken back to Pyongyang were extremely careful about the route they took in order to avoid other countries' airspace where the planes might be grounded and the agents could be lawfully arrested. So the only people that seemed the most obvious suspects were the two women, who were very easily tracked because they didn't try to cover their tracks because they thought that they had just done a very funny prank. The police approached the women accused of the attack, who were both staying at nearby hotels to the airport, and they were asked if they knew what they had just done. And the moment they both looked confused, the police informed them that they had just been involved in the killing of Kim Jong-un's brother. Like, imagine hearing that, like, oh, we're going to do such a funny YouTube video, and then it turns out they actually took part in a pretty fucking major political assassination. Like, this news obviously caused a massive amount of shock to the women, and the media were in a frenzy trying to talk to them. But unfortunately for the media, the women were escorted by armed guards. It may have been for their own protection, you know, loose ends and all that, and the protection of others. But it's still a little bit strange and quite funny seeing a couple of little women being escorted by 10 or so armoured guys holding guns. Now, in Malaysia, as with most other countries, one of the worst crimes is murder. But unlike other countries, the sentence in Malaysia is death by hanging. So the two women had a lot of convincing to do without many other options. If they were found guilty, that was it for them. One other person was eventually taken in for questioning on the 17th of February, just 4 days after the incident. And this guy was assumed to be an operative, but this operative was a chemist, and he was thought to be the one responsible for supplying the VX nerve agent and giving instructions on how to correctly use it. His name was Ri Jong Chol, and he went through questioning just like the women did, but he wasn't detained. But while free, he got another visit from North Korea. He was eventually caught on camera talking to members of the North Korean embassy to come up with and rehearse his full story for future questioning. I really doubt North Korea actually gave a shit about the fate of this man. However, they did thank him for what he had done. He had fulfilled his purpose, but they had to keep close ties with him because they didn't want him giving away information on North Korea or implicating them in any way. The story that North Korea was going to push was that Malaysia was trying to coerce him into giving a confession. All of the charges were dropped against CT, mostly because they couldn't prove that she in fact knew what she was doing, and the president of Indonesia begged for her release. President Jokowi had a meeting with the Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad to discuss her freedom. After the meeting, she was acquitted due to good relations between Indonesia and Malaysia. Doan, however, was still on trial, accused of murder and at severe risk of a short drop and a sudden stop. Luckily, she was offered a deal to reduce the sentence to causing harm using a dangerous weapon from murder, which she had no real choice but to accept since the alternative was hanging. She was given 3 years and 4 months prison time, but her legal team assured her that she wouldn't stay in prison for that long. Part of what actually proved the women's innocence was footage from both the airport and the North Korean operative embassy interview, and with the way the women handled the nerve agent, since they were being very calm and nonchalant about it and they didn't act nervously or carefully at all, which is how most people would act if they were carrying one of the most dangerous substances known to man in their hand. The Malaysian government refused to release the body immediately, and North Korea's ambassador Kang Chol accused Malaysia of collaborating with the enemies of North Korea over the assassination. The North Korean ambassador said that the outcome of the post-mortem conducted by the Malaysian government would be rejected, since it was being performed on a North Korean citizen without permission, and that it would be perceived as violating human rights, which is fucking poetic coming from North Korea. If their whining was not appeased, they said that they would file a complaint with the International Court of Justice. North Korea didn't want a post-mortem to be conducted in Malaysia for obvious reasons. They wanted the autopsy to be done by their own people so that they could just make up whatever cause of death they wanted to cover their own actions or to try and inflame relations between North Korea and Malaysia. Malaysia had to conduct the autopsy anyway since it needed to be done by law, and also it was a time-sensitive matter. So, despite North Korea's objections, the autopsy was conducted by pathologist Mohammed Shah Mahmood of Kuala Lumpur Hospital, which is likely why we know the actual cause of death today. Malaysia refused to return the body to Pyongyang until certain requirements were met. So relations between the two countries were looking very grim. In fact, Malaysia actually expelled the North Korean embassy and demanded that 3 people of interest who were hiding inside the embassy surrender to police questioning. And in the usual measured response, North Korea just held all Malaysians in their country hostage, at least until the situation was resolved. In order to calm the situation down, a deal was struck between Malaysia and North Korea to return Kim Jong-nam's body in exchange for North Korea releasing the Malaysian hostages. So, despite the fact that we know more about the killing than North Korea wanted us to, North Korea pretty much got what they wanted in the end. And they've essentially been allowed to kill one of their own citizens in another country with no real consequences. Killing Kim Jong-nam was thought to be a warning to North Korean ambassadors worldwide, specifically Tae Yong-ho, who was the ambassador for Great Britain, since he had made public appearances and talked out of line, which was against what the North Korean government wanted. The warning did work, however, since every North Korean ambassador from then on cancelled their public speaking arrangements, but the whole assassination was done very likely because of Kim Jong-un's paranoia of being succeeded to rule. The whole plan basically killed two birds with one stone for North Korea. And they got away with it.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody should subscribe.
The lion is often called the king of the jungle, which is weird because they don't actually live in the jungle, but that doesn't detract in any way from the mastery that they have over their domain. Lions might be big on pride, but there's nothing gay about them. In all mighty warrior races, a great conqueror arises every so often to write his name in the history books with the blood of the vanquished and carve out an empire that changes the face of the earth as we know it. And on their own smaller scale, lions are no exception. But today's video isn't just about one great lion. This video is about the absolute triumph, carnage, and devastation caused by just 6 lions. 6 lions that all the other lions were afraid of because they hunted other lions. The Mapogo Lion Coalition. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. But before we get started, this video is brought to you by Fume. Fume is an award-winning device that is all about helping you break your bad habits in an innovative way. But breaking a bad habit doesn't have to be an uncomfortable or drastic change, so Fume is here to remove the bad from the habit. Instead of using electronics and annoying people with giant flavoured clouds, Fume is completely natural and instead uses flavoured air. Not only is the air flavoured, it is made using all natural delicious flavours that contain no harmful chemicals. So Fume really is all good with none of the bad. You can simply enjoy your habit guilt-free and replace your old bad habits easily. Your Fume will come with an adjustable airflow dial that is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers something to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. After trying the new Fume flavours myself, I was honestly very surprised at how flavourful it is. It feels very fresh and the moving parts are great for helping to fight stress. I have been feeling great since using it. You can upgrade your Journey Pack to the Solano to enjoy the premium walnut barrel and onyx black coated mouthpiece that has a smoother finish and still get yourself a discount. Stopping is something that we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable and even fun. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Fume has also released some new flavour cores. These cores include orange vanilla, raspberry lemon, and sparkling grapefruit. I've had the chance to click the link, show them some love. And females get to live in the safety of the pride once they grow up, whereas the males are pretty much kicked out when they turn 2 or 3 years old. And they are expected to go off and found or conquer their own pride. However, it's not that simple. It's a big, scary, and dangerous world out there, and these male lions are still young and inexperienced, so they need a little help. Because there are no lion universities to charge exorbitant fees for glorified daycare, adolescent lions that are kicked out at the same time tend to form coalitions. Now, the pride system is a complete family unit of lions, lionesses, and cubs, and coalitions differ in that they are just a group of male lions. Members of lion coalitions are usually blood related because they form bonds early on in their life before leaving the pride to seek out prey and females on their own. Also, interpride relations between lions are not great, to say the least, but we'll get onto that later. But other than blood ties, coalitions form simply because there is safety in numbers. Hunting and taking over territory is much more easily done with the boys than alone. So, working together ensures greater access to lionesses and improved chances of repelling other upstarts that might be by themselves or in smaller coalitions. The Mapogo Coalition, who we will be discussing today, are believed to have been named after a South African security company that was known for being a bit too heavy-handed, though it's also suggested that the name might come from Mapogo, which is a Zulu word for rogues. Either way, the name fits. The Mapogos hailed from the Sparta Pride in Kruger National Park in South Africa, and they were the sons of lions known as the West Street Males. The Sparta Pride is another name that really fits. The Mapogos were led by the eldest lion, Mkulu, whose name actually means big or impressive in Zulu. He was born in 1998, and he was actually an outsider who joined the coalition in July of the year 2000, taking the place of a 20-month-old male that the coalition had lost. Now, you may or may not know that lions do not take kindly to outsiders at all, but Mkulu might have been accepted on the grounds that while his mother was from another pride, his father might also have been a West Street male. The other 5 members of the coalition were all certainly biological brothers who were born into the Sparta Pride between 2001 and 2002, and they lived together for their whole lives. Now, anthropologists aren't exactly the most creative bunch, so they took a pretty Socratic approach to naming the other Mapogos. There was Pretty Boy, who notably had fewer scars than his brothers and was more brains than brawn. Mr. T was the exact opposite and was the most brutal of the Mapogos, and he was named for his distinctive mohawk. Another one was called Kinky Tail, who had a kink in his tail. Also named after a physical defect was Skew Spine, also known as Scar, who had a scar on his spine and left hip. And finally, there was Dreadlocks, who earned his name by getting something caught in his mane that had matted into a dreadlock. He was also nicknamed Rasta. While all of the Mapogos had their unique features, the one thing that they all had in common was the black tint to their manes. Because no teenage edgy boy going out into the world for the first time is complete without one. In 2004, the Mapogos just couldn't wait to be king, and they left the Sparta Pride to strike out on their own. They started out by scavenging from what lionesses left behind after hunting, or fighting them to steal their fresh kills, which gave them the strength that they needed to embark on their training arc. The Mapogos honed their hunting skills over the next few months, and they became excellent fighters both as individuals and as a unit. Thanks to their solid teamwork and the over-the-top aggression of Kinky Tail and especially Mr. T, they were able to take down some really big prey, including hippos, young rhinos, and giraffes. But the Mapogos' main fare that really bulked them up was the buffalo, which experts think was the cause of their sheer size and strength. Adult buffaloes can weigh up to a ton, so regularly eating a literal ton of protein is of course going to result in some serious gains. The Mapogo's diet actually brought them a very long way in making them a force to be reckoned with, but they were also notable for their numbers. I've already mentioned that there is safety in numbers, but most lion coalitions are made up of just 2 or 3 males. So the fact that there were half a dozen Mapogos made them a veritable powerhouse. In general, lion prides were a bit bigger than usual in Kruger National Park because the abundance of prey made life very good for predators. Though these bigger prides still tended to only have about 4 or 5 males, which still put the Mapogos at a pretty solid advantage. In 2006, the Mapogo Coalition arrived in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve, which is located within Kruger National Park. They had just walked into a massive ecosystem with a great diversity of habitats and wildlife, containing 2,000 plant species and hundreds of species of mammals, including all of the iconic animals that you can think of: leopards, elephants, buffalo, hippos, giraffes, and most notably, other lions. Sabi Sands was home to several prides of lions, who would have not taken very kindly to the Mapogos showing up on their turf. But how they felt about it didn't matter. The Mapogos were gearing up for war. They didn't come here for food. They came here for a fucking fight. When planning invasions, most lions tend to sneak in and use the element of surprise. But not the Mapogos. They didn't give a fuck. They did not fucking care. They just sauntered in there and loudly called out the incumbent Ottawa Pride. The Ottawa Pride accepted their challenge and met them in open combat. And one of their males was killed by the Mapogo and the other 3 were routed. The Mapogos had just conquered their first territory. And to the victors, the spoils. 3 lionesses and 11 cubs. Now, for those of you who don't know much about lions, when male lions get a hold of cubs that aren't theirs, they were slaughtered, all of them, every single one. that's just, you know, nature's like that sometimes. Some of the cubs were even just outright eaten by Mr. T. I tell you what though, these names are making this dark subject matter a lot easier to deal with. As for the lionesses, well, there's a reason why a third of the world is directly descended from Genghis Khan. They were feeling the love tonight, you know, whether they wanted to or not. But the Mapogos didn't stop there. They challenged and killed every male lion that they came across. And not just the males, but the females and the cubs too. Because you see, in lion culture, infanticide is very, very common in interpride conflicts. After all, it's not enough for a male to just install himself at the top of a new pride that he has just conquered. He also has to wipe out his rival's entire bloodline and clear out the lioness's offspring to prepare them for mating with him. And they often had to kill some of the lionesses as well, since obviously some of them would fight back to try and protect their cubs. It may be a bit obvious considering their status as apex predators, but male lions are the biggest cause of lion infant mortality. But the Mapogos took this even further with their sheer sadism, because Mr. T actually just eating the Ottawa cubs was no isolated incident. Despite being very, very rare in lions, cannibalism was a very common habit for the Mapogos. And it must have been pretty shocking for park rangers when it turned out that Mr. T was more like Hannibal. The Mapogos' conquest of the Sabi Sands was practically an extinction event. Seriously, park rangers were getting extremely concerned with the amount of male lions and cubs that the Mapogos were wiping out. And all they could do was sit back and watch. They weren't allowed to intervene. Park rangers are allowed to get involved if it's a natural disaster or if it's poachers. But if it's nature versus nature and it's just nature doing its thing, then they're not allowed to get involved at all. All they could do was sit back and watch this horrendous shit go down. For some perspective on how brutal their conquest was, the Mapogos faced off against 2 male lions from the Kahuma Pride in December of 2007. One of the Kahuma males was later found so badly wounded that he couldn't move. And the Mapogos were less than 200 meters away from him, mating with 2 of his lionesses. Those were his final moments. They made him watch. They made him fucking watch. That lion had been broken both physically and spiritually, but at least the Mapogos were kind enough to deliver a coup de grace after they were done, because his mutilated remains were found the next day. While a number of prides were very heavily affected by the Mapogos' reign of terror, the 5 that suffered the most were the Castleton Pride, whose numbers were reduced from 22 to 6, the Salala Pride, which was halved from 10 lions down to 5, the 10-strong Zimanvinyana Pride, which was completely fucking wiped out, and 40% of all of the lions in Elephant Plains were killed by the Mapogos, which accounts for 40 to 50 casualties in the area. But that's not all. Willem Botha, the assistant warden and head of anti-poaching in the Sabi Sands, had a pretty staggering idea of the true extent of the Mapogos' bloodshed, saying, and I quote, "From the time I first saw them until I left the Sabi Sands, the Mapogos killed between 90 and 110 other lions in the park. I also had to shoot approximately 15 lions that were so badly mauled by the Mapogos that their spines were severed, and they had to be put out of their misery." If lions are the kings of the jungle, the Mapogos were the kings of kings, because no one was able to stand against them. But with all of the testosterone and creatine pumping through the Mapogos, it was only a matter of time before they all started to turn on each other. The discord within the ranks was a classic case of sibling rivalry, as Mr. T was not content with Makulu's leadership and he wanted to be in charge, which led to a lot of conflict. In June of 2007, Makulu left the coalition for a while after having a falling out with Mr. T. So the other 5 Mapogos killed all of his cubs while he was away. Because lions. The following year, Makulu and Mr. T got into another fight, which Makulu won after biting Mr. T's legs. But his victory came at the cost of the coalition's cohesion, as Mr. T and Kinky Tail moved east, while the others stayed in the west. However, unlike the Kasakala chimpanzee community schism that erupted into the Gombe chimpanzee war, there was no hard feelings as Mr. T and Kinky Tail left. The two coalitions even worked together despite the occasional bickering and infighting the way that brothers and neighbours usually do. As such, the Mapogo Empire reached its peak in 2009, with the brothers ruling over a 170,000-acre empire and dominating 8 prides. Everything the light touched was their kingdom. While their dominion was marked by a big red streak across the landscape, the Mapogos didn't just leave utter desolation in their wake. After all, one of the perks of conquest was access to lionesses. So you can be sure that they took a very active role in restoring the local lion populations. All of the Mapogos fathered cubs from a number of the prides that they had conquered, though most of them were born to Makulu, who was the coalition's biggest shagger. And there was plenty to go around, because fights between male lions were so deadly that lionesses outnumbered them 3-1. And the Mapogos had killed so many male lions that it seemed like only one man could stop them. But you know how the saying goes. You can't be top dog forever, especially if you're a big cat. A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun, and the Mapogos were starting to get on a bit in years. They were starting to get a bit old. So, when new rivals emerged in 2010, it proved to be a very big deal. The 5-strong Majangilani coalition challenged the Mapogos on the Eastern Front by starting to leave their scent on Mr. T and Kinky Tail's turf. The Mapogo Empire had been untouchable because of the huge 6-strong force defending it. But the split in the ranks had weakened the eastern flank since it only had 2 defenders. Kinky Tail and Mr. T were hunting buffalo when the Majigilanis showed up and immediately sprung into action. The Mapogos wasted no time in separating the challenger's leader from the rest of the coalition, chasing him down and going to fucking town. However, the Majangilani leader refused to give up, and he managed to scratch Mr. T's face and bite his ear. But there was no way that he could do any meaningful damage to this pair of hardened veterans, who held him down, tore his groin and hind legs open, broke his neck, and left him to die. Victorious, Kinky Tail and Mr. T rested and licked their wounds. That night, the other Majangilanis all set out to avenge their fallen brother. 2 of them tracked down Kinky Tail, who gave chase, unaware that they were leading him into an ambush. The other 2 Majangilanis then came out behind Kinky Tail, completely surrounding him. Despite aging and being woefully outnumbered, Kinky Tail took on his 4 opponents anyway. And he was immediately fucking bodied. He was... Oh god, it was bad. He was bitten in the neck and the back. He had his genitals bitten off, and he suffered a broken spine, which left him completely paralysed. And after that, his fate was sealed. Mr. T went in to the rescue, but he was routed by the superior numbers as 2 of the Majangilanis tried to run him down. With Kinky Tail completely broken and clearly not going anywhere, the other 2 joined the chase. Eventually, however, Mr. T managed to escape. But with Mr. T out of the way, the 4 Majangilanis were free to eat Kinky Tail alive and tear him limb from limb. It's not really much consolation, but at least he was too paralysed to feel what was going on in half of his body, you know, so there's that. With his brother dead and his territory taken, an injured Mr. T fled west, and he returned to the Mapogo coalition. But the brothers had been split up for far too long, and this occasion was less of a family reunion and more of an outsider entering the Western Mapogo's territory. However, Mr. T's brothers surprisingly welcomed him back. It was just a shame that Mr. T wasn't coming back for his 20%, he was coming back for the whole fucking thing. So just days after his return, Mr. T said, "Long live the king," and ate all of his brother's cubs. Mr. T essentially usurped Makulu and took over the Mapogo coalition, claiming the leadership and the females for himself. An act of extreme cuckolding which earned him the nickname Satan among the humans that were watching him. On the 16th of March 2012, the new regime was challenged by a 4-strong rival coalition called the Salatis, also known as the Southern Pride. In the initial skirmish, they managed to split up the remaining Mapogos after forcing them into a retreat. So the brothers regrouped and started doing a second training arc by going back to doing what they did best: hunting buffalo. Unfortunately, these hunts attracted the attention of the southern males, which helped them once again track down the Mapogos, and they ended up splitting them up once again. And they managed to isolate Mr. T, who was outnumbered 4-1. There was no escaping or fighting his way out of this one, but he fought anyway. And he put up a valiant effort in his last stand. But just as Mr. T had done to very many lions before him, the southern males paralysed his back legs with a bite to the spine, and then brutally tore him to shreds before leaving him to die. Live by the sword, die by the sword. After Mr. T's murder, the Mapogo's empire collapsed in the wake of invasions from other prides, mainly the Majangalanis. Much had been lost, but the Four Lions still made for a mighty coalition. Sure, they were getting on in years, but they still had a lot of experience between them. If they stayed united, could they have pulled off a Byzantine second wind? Well, we'll never fucking know. Skewspine and Dreadlocks mysteriously vanished over the next couple of years, and we don't know for sure what exactly happened to them. But Skewspine was probably shot by poachers, and it's believed that Dreadlocks wandered off the reserve and was shot by locals. And then, after a substantial shrinking of their territory and strength, Makulu and Pretty Boy were ousted completely after losing a fight to a coalition of 2 Kruger males, barely escaping with their lives. Nothing beside remained. Round the decay of that colossal empire, boundless and bare, the Sabi Sands stretch far away. Makulu and Pretty Boy were reduced to shells of their former selves. They were spotted a few times during their exile, the last occasion being in October of 2012, where they were spotted eating a buffalo together. The last time Makulu was seen by himself was in January of 2013, and he was very emaciated and very much worse for wear. But at almost 15 years old, he had well surpassed the average 8 to 10 year life expectancy of male lions, as had Pretty Boy, who had also managed to last for over a decade. But that didn't change the fact that they would have been fated to the exact same end they gave to so many others. Because, again, if you don't know much about lions, male lions don't die of old age. They don't. They die by being ripped apart by another lion. You've all seen Western movies about aging gunfighters. Well, these lions' pasts would have caught up with them, because there is always someone younger and tougher who would seek them out to try and make a name for themselves. But that would be the best case scenario. At least there's some honour in that. But according to a lion expert named Courtney Blunden, there is another likely outcome. And I quote, "His loss of condition and starvation will leave him defenceless against an arch-rival, the hyena. Of all possibilities, this is the most disturbing and demoralising for us to witness." In other words, what is happening to Britain right now? But anyway, it's very possible that instead of going out swinging like Mr. T and Kinky Tail did, they just starved to death or were picked off by lesser opponents. That doesn't mean, however, that there is nothing left of what the Mapogos built. It's very possible that their grandsons and granddaughters are still out there continuing the carnage, though we can't really be sure if their parents were really sired by Mr. T or Kinky Tail because Africa. But the fall of the Mapogos is just the figurative and literal nature of the beast. An empire's time comes, it rises, hits its zenith, and then it falls. That's just a tragic fact of the cyclical nature of history, but that's just the deal. And why should the Mapogo Empire be any different, just because it was made up of lions? But that might be anthropomorphizing them a little bit too much. You know, they're lions, they had no grand designs or imperial ambitions. They conquered the Sabi Sands just so they could safely eat prey and fuck bitches. Were the Mapogos really great conquerors or sadistic butchers? Who's to say? But they died as they lived, so for better or worse, I suppose that's something. Personally, I think they did nothing more than embrace what they were. They're fucking lions. So they just embraced a lion's nature. However, nature is pretty fucking terrifying sometimes.
It's Count Thank You on YouTube. Everybody subscribe.
Man, have I got an exciting video for you guys that I just saw. Apparently this happened last night in Aransas, Texas. The link will be in the description. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it does look like attorney CJ Grisham is visiting towns in his area, and putting towns on notice that have been violating people's First Amendment rights, particularly at these public meetings where they have been censoring people and not letting people say what they say. So he has visited another city hall meeting, and they shut his client down and wouldn't let his client speak for saying curse words, which is protected under the First Amendment. Cohen versus California is good case law on that. But anyways, without further ado, let me show you guys what happened. It's wild. Y'all aren't going to believe it. Enjoy the video.
Jason Followell, one of the only people in the room that tells you the truth. By the way, your citizens' comment stuff is that you can do everything you just said is not against the law. I can personally affront you, cuss at you, do whatever I want, and you have to listen to me because you work for me. You need to remember that, boy. All right. Chief Blanchard. Chief Blanchard, 1247. You spent.
Okay, now.
Excuse me?
I just read you. The
And
first
you're wrong,
warning.
and you're lying to the
Okay,
public.
I'm not going to put up.
I'm not going to put up with
any
you.
defamation of character.
That's not defamation,
I'm not
that's a
gonna
fact.
I don't care.
You
I'm
have
not
to
going to
care.
put up with no profanity or anything. You either act like an adult and speak right to everybody that's here, and you have the privilege to speak your mind for 3 minutes.
You work for
I'm
me,
just saying-
boy. You need to
I'm just
remember
telling
that.
you. Go ahead.
That's your
Go.
warning.
Okay, I'm telling you.
Now rewind my clock while I finish my statement.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Chief Blanchard, $1,247 fitted suit you stole from the company. From us. You work for us. On 9/10/23. Kerry Shrugs, you lied to the public. Kerry Shrugs on Facebook stated that these personally fitted suits was pre-approved by the council and manager of 2011. Jason Knight's dad was that was that mayor then. Guess what he said, Kerry? Never approved that. Laugh at me all you want. Modifications to the policy manual took place almost 40 days after I complained about him. Y'all modified it. Why did y'all modify it? You know when it was modified before, Kerry? Not 2011, I do. 2019, 2014, 2004. You lied to the public. Even with the recent modifications, a Class A uniform is the highest uniform APBD has, and it is not a suit, you scumbag. Uniform Class A. Did you have a dress hat? No, you did not. Long sleeves. Did you have that? Yes, you did. Tie, yes. Trousers, yes. Skirt, I mean, maybe.
Mr. Mayor.
Black belt. I'm talking. It's my turn to talk.
Personal attack once again, Mayor.
Peace, will you? I don't give a crap what you say, you piece.
Okay, now.
There it is again.
I can talk like
Here we
that.
go.
It's a First Amendment
You are
right.
violating the rules of the court.
See, Blanchard,
You are
what
ordered
First
to leave
Amendment
the
right did I
meeting.
violate?
Out.
No, I'm not. He's the
I'm
guy.
not gonna
You
deal
tell
with
me.
it. I'm not.
What First Amendment right
I'm
did I
not.
violate?
I'm not. You're either going to
I'm
respect
asking you
this
a
place or
question.
you're going to be asked to walk out.
Am I under duress of arrest?
You're going to go to jail if you.
I'm going to be arrested.
Let's
Fine.
go.
Okay. Here.
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I can go?
Oh, no, they printed it up.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, my name is CJ Grisham. I'm a civil rights attorney here in Texas, and what I just witnessed was a violation of Mr. Followell's rights. Let me read something to you. Arresting someone in retaliation for the exercise of free speech rights is sufficient to chill speech as an understatement. This is Beck v. City of Upland.
Yeah, I mean, we just they're like, well, they're not
Arguing, even if done loudly, with a profane or offensive language will not,
I know the seat numbers.
in and of itself, constitute disorderly conduct. That's Payne v. Pauley. Swear words do not provide probable cause for an arrest for disorderly conduct because the words, as a matter of law. Campbell, I could go on, Mr. Mayor. Your rules of decorum are unconstitutional, and they're setting the city up, you individually, for liability. Now, you will be seeing a letter from me, a demand letter for violating my client's rights just now, because he has the right to say whatever. He has the right to say all of those words because it is a First Amendment right. You can't do anything about it. Let me tell you something. The law has long established that arresting an individual for publicly displaying vulgarities violates the First Amendment. That's the Cohen case, 1969. Indeed, the Supreme Court recently held that a public school violated the free speech rights of a cheerleader by suspending her when she said things like school, softball, cheer, everything. Then there was another, that's Mahoney Area School District v. BL. There's also Eachus v. Steelman saying that a police officer was not entitled to qualified immunity for arresting a plaintiff who said you. Did you hear that?
Here we go.
No qualified immunity. So I can say throughout my entire 3 minutes, I can say again, and I can say again, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's called expressive speech. We are allowed to express ourselves. We are allowed to talk about what we think about you. If I think you, Mr. Mayor, are a tyrant, I can say that. If I think the city manager is a piece of shit, I can say that. It's protected. This is the case law. I don't give a shit what you think. The law is right. You escort me out, I'll sue you as well, Mr. Mayor.
Do whatever you want.
This is the law right here. And if these chiefs come out here and pull me out of this meeting, you had better read this, chief, because he's telling you to break the law.
Mayor, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
You can take him
Now,
out.
where'd that coward Kerry Scruggs go?
You go out.
Where'd the coward Kerry Scruggs go?
Take him out.
Is my 3 minutes up?
You're gone.
Is my, what am I gone for? What am I gone for? No, his rules of court violate the law.
Goodbye. You're going to go to jail for this.
Oh, you're going to arrest me? Oh, you're going to arrest me? Okay, so under the threat of arrest, you just filed.
All right. Okay.
Here, you want to read these? You got no qualified immunity. Oh, go file that on the meeting, motherfucker. I can stay right here. I'm not. I have left the meeting. Read these because you have no qualified immunity.
Goodbye.
Oh, go file that on the meeting. I can stay right here. I'm not. I have left the meeting.
No, you're gone.
I have left. I'm not in the meeting anymore. I'm not in the meeting anymore.
Goodbye. He's gone.
No, I'm going to
He
stay here
goes to
quietly.
jail for disrupting.
He doesn't want to listen.
You guys might want to. You guys might read this case law. You're. One of you better read this case law. None of you have qualified immunity.
Sue already.
Okay, in that case, all right, here. Let me get everybody's badge numbers.
You can get it later. Right now, you're gone. Sir, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be quiet. You're gone.
Fuck off my paper, bitch. What the fuck are you doing?
Goodbye. You've been asked to leave. Please leave. Stop
Under
making
what
things
authority?
difficult. The mayor kicked you out of the meeting.
He
Just right
unlawfully kicked me out of the meeting.
now, we are still disrupting your
Then close
meeting.
the door, big.
Close the door?
Yeah,
Then you
close the
got
door,
another
man.
argument That's not a public meeting? Get out.
Excuse me, don't touch me. Don't touch me. You are assaulting me right now.
Please walk.
Don't touch me.
Please walk. You're not following commands. Thank you.
Well, I'm not following unlawful command.
Okay.
All right, so we got Persian. Persian, what's your badge number?
412, sir.
412. Next. Salazar. 430. Next. How do you spell that? How do you spell that? S-T-R-E-I-C-H? 442. Next. Baker. A. Baker?
Yes, sir. 432.
432. Next.
No, you have
W.
H-I-P-K-E-Y. 437.
H-I.
H-I-P-K-E-Y. 437.
Next. H. Thomas.
Brian, good to meet you.
435.
435. Next. Is that it?
That was rude of me.
And Blanchard?
401. I understand you're not mad. I understand that.
Guys, I want you to know something.
Yes, sir.
I literally quoted them
Yes, sir.
the case. Whoops, there it is. Sorry. I literally quoted them the case law.
Okay.
That what he just did is unlawful.
Yeah.
I also quoted the case law that you lose qualified immunity by arresting me for what you just did. Okay, I literally but you also you would have arrested me. You threatened to arrest me.
I didn't threaten to arrest you.
Your chief threatened to arrest me, and he told you to arrest me if I didn't leave.
Which is under duress.
Which is under duress. That is essentially an arrest. Okay. So none of you have qualified immunity. If I walk through this door, who's going to arrest me?
If
I need to know.
The official proceedings, sir. You
Yes.
Can be in there being
Who will not arrest me if I go through this door?
I want you to go in there and speak, but I want you to speak in a calm.
No, I'm done speaking. That's all been done. What I want to know is, if I go back in this door,
Yeah.
who is going to not arrest me?
Are you going to disrupt the proceedings?
I didn't disrupt the proceeding last time.
It sounded like you were loud in the hallway, and then we had.
No, I was not in the hallway because you were illegally pushing me out of a meeting. The mayor kicked me out.
Okay, I wasn't there for that. I was there for you getting out of the building.
So you don't know what happened in there. So why are you saying that I was disrupting the meeting when you have no idea what I was doing in there?
I didn't. Oh, okay. I said you were disrupting the meeting because the chief said you were disrupting the meeting. That part I heard.
Okay, and the chief said I was disrupting a meeting because I said at the podium, which this specifically says the word, because I even quoted straight from the case law, school, cheer, softball, everything. That's Mahoney Area School District v. BL.
Okay.
All right, that her free speech rights were violated when they suspended her for that.
Okay.
There's the Cohen case where he was at a meeting and he wore a draft. Same thing.
Okay.
So I said, the mayor said, I can't say that. I says, well, Mayor, I just read you the case law. I can say as much as I want. I can say you, I can say them, I can say piece of shit.
Yep.
And
you expect them to know that?
I just read it to them. I literally just read it to them.
I could print something off the internet that says what I wanted to.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is that really your argument?
I could print something off.
When a lawyer comes up here, who's an officer of the court, and says what the law is, and there's not a city attorney in there.
This isn't a court proceeding, though.
It's not, but this is a public meeting.
Yes, sir.
Where I have a right
Yes.
to seek redress, do I not?
Yes.
I have a right to criticize elected officials. He has a right
Absolutely.
to, now I'm not going to sue on my behalf.
Okay.
I'm going to sue on his behalf.
Okay.
So I need to know, I guess, even more appropriately, if Mr. Followell goes back in there, is he going to be arrested?
I don't believe that he doesn't have a criminal trespass. He was.
Well, let's try it then. Let's see if we can just go sit down.
All right.
And just don't say a word.
All right.
Did y'all put the signs in? No. Okay.
All right, guys, I'm gonna kill this. You guys have a great night. I might come back live again tonight from the factory. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It's pretty busy. I did get a lot of shit done though. Got a new test one I've been playing with. I gotta edit it up and stuff like that, but I want you guys to hear it because he actually did a pretty good job with it. I gotta add the old steamy-eyed stuff into it and stuff, but it's pretty neat. Where's that? Where'd it go? Oh, it's an AVI file. I can't do it yet. Oh, so much for that. Yeah, let's do the normal one. All right, guys.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place, off the liquor that we chase. Casamigos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine. got a fine little body and her mind's kinda naughty. They say that once you taste it, you cannot replace it. She could get you high, all the dopamine inside triggers fast once she's naked. Her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn good statement. There is no replacement, a body by Satan. 'Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place off the liquor that we chase. Casamigos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. 'Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on a tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict 'cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine.